Welcome back, college baseball fans. We're here for another episode of the College Baseball Show, live top 25 show, brought to you by Just Baseball Media. Joined with me, and Mark Garland, your host here. Joined with me is Will Massa. How we doing, Will?
Fantastic. Haven't been here in a couple weeks for the Monday show, but we are back. I think it's been 2 weeks, so I'm fired up to be here. Another crazy week.
Back for the Monday show. Love it. And Jason Ratcliffe from 6-4 Analytics always joining us. How we doing, Jason?
Good, man. I put in the top of my document here to eat as much crow as humanly possible for North Carolina, because I was one of those individuals that effectively said I believed that Georgia Tech had a higher probability of sweeping than North Carolina had of winning the series. And boy, howdy, was that wrong. So always fun to look back, a week later and see how dumb you can be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but UNC baseball put out a hype tweet after, and they were like, hey, by the way, here's a bunch of clips. And there was one of myself and Zach Sims talking about
that.
Yeah,
I saw Zach like shaking
the Zach head shake was so legendary. Hey, kudos to Carolina baseball. Like, that was a rad video. I love it, man. Get after it. I wish more teams would do that. Like, yeah, we come on here, we talk baseball. We're not always going to be right. And I love when teams are like, hey, we proved you wrong. Show us. I love that, man. It's good stuff, man. I just think it's terrific out there. So terrific video, tip of the hat. I even put you guys front and center for this video because that was just like so good. So kudos to them. I mean, let's get right into the baseball, boys. SEC baseball continues to roll, and somehow LSU is now looking up at a 6-12 record. I mean, they have Mississippi State. They're at Mississippi State, home against South Carolina, at Georgia, home against Florida. Jason, this appears to be a team that needs to find 7 wins out of those games. I don't know if they have it.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I mean, I just talked about how, trying to play prognosticator and being really bad at it. And I think I'm just going to do it again and completely forget everything I just said. Jay Johnson had a really unique comment. I think it was after game 2 where he blamed it on roster construction. And looking over their team as a whole, their pitching is good. Like, they've got, some good pitchers now, like starting pitching, you're kind of a little worried about, but the bullpen has been really good. Sheeran has been really, really good for them out of the pen. So part of me is like, okay, well, is he pointing at his lineup? And I feel like that's kind of where he's at. And I was trying to think of like, okay, where is this coming from? And for me, I feel like it kind of teeters on I don't know, 3 things maybe. One is I don't think they have a superstar this year. Now, I know Brown's been phenomenal, and I know they have Curiel in center. And, I mean, Brown at the beginning of the year was basically like on an SEC Player of the Year watch. He's still been good, but he's tapered off a little bit. But they don't have that kind of freak superstar this year. Now, Curiel has a really high ceiling, but he's not playing like a freak superstar D1 player. He's just kind of playing like a really good outfielder, which he is, but he's not playing like someone that can kind of like lead you in that kind of, LSU manner of going out there and just being a juggernaut and dominating. So I think they're missing kind of that superstar. I think they overcommitted on corner infielders. Talked with a couple of coaches about this, and, they brought in Caraway from Oregon State. They brought in Dardar from Kansas State, and they brought in Seth, it was from High Point. Why am I forgetting? Braden Simpson. Yeah, they brought in Braden Simpson. And then they brought in York. So you basically brought in 4 pseudo quarter infielders, and it's kind of like, what are we going to do with these guys? And I think you kind of have this difficulty of sometimes maybe you have too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's kind of like, who's going to be the sous chef? And you get in this situation where these guys almost come in with this mentality of they're going to be the dude, and maybe they're not the dude, and then things like don't go well. And I think you're starting to see that with York quite a bit. So I think you're getting some personality things. I think you're getting some roster management things. And I think ultimately you're just kind of seeing a team that, doesn't have just really that stud that they can lean on to kind of, maybe there's even those 2 to 3 studs to get them those 3 to 5 RBIs a weekend.
Yeah, it just feels like they're missing. And I mean, it's like you can't really pinpoint one single thing. I think, Jason, I think you nailed it. Like, it's a lot of little things that are adding up. This team, they don't play great defense right now. They have great defensive players, but they don't seem to play great team defense necessarily. And they're not like doing the little things to win baseball games. They're not hitting backside ground balls. They're not moving guys around the bases. Seems like they get guys on first and second sometimes and score no runs. And that's unacceptable at this level. Like first and second, you got to get one run across no matter what happens at this. Like if you want to be an Omaha team, you got to score a run when there's a guy on second, no outs. And they're just not doing it at a consistent level, which is really, I think, their biggest downfalls. They're not doing the little things.
Yeah, they're 65th in the RPI right now, and that their saving grace is they still have like I think 12 or 13 Q1 games left, so they've got a substantial volume of opportunity. But I mean, you just said it, at Mississippi State, at Georgia, first Florida, like that. That's going to be hard to go 500. I mean, you can't go 500 in a 9 game, but if they, it's going to be really hard to go 5-4. And if they can't go 5-4, and they go 4-5, right, that means what, they're 10-20 or then, where? Yeah.
If they get the 3 from South Carolina, they could possibly be, if they win 4 of those other games, they'd be at 13 wins, which has been the magical cutoff number. But that probably puts them at 14th in the conference and a bad RPI. They might have to win a couple tournament games, honestly.
Yeah. Their non-con was 180. So, I mean, it's just there's not a lot of things in there. They're 3-9 in Q1 games. They have 5 Q4 losses. There's a number of things on there. Like maybe if they were just that singular kind of like hole in the armor, you'd be like, okay, not an issue. But it's kind of like multiplication thing where everything just keeps like saying, okay, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, in a league this year where there's so many people that they're looking up at, there's 5 teams at 10-8 right now in the SEC. There's some really good baseball being played from some of these teams where we're talking about them being national seeds. LSU's not even close. I mean, A&M spanked them. Like there's no putting anything else on it. They went out and beat them all 3 games. Never really felt like it was that close even. And it was at their place. Like losing at the box like that, I get it, this team's down, but losing at home like that has just never been a thing. So I think that Jay Johnson took the approach. He took a lot of accountability, which I like. If you're an LSU fan, you got to be like, hey, at least our coach sees it and he's taking accountability. But man, just a tough slate there. Kudos on the same flip side of that coin though. Kudos to like the Texas A&Ms, Auburn's, Ole Miss. Like those were some good baseball games that they went out and won some series this weekend that were huge for those teams. And Texas even taking care of business at home against a very good Alabama team. Like big SEC were taking care of this weekend. And it felt like you're starting to get that separation of these really good teams in the SEC versus the pretty good teams in the SEC. And I think we saw more of that this weekend. And as much as I was hard on Ole Miss all offseason, they've done the little things right, man. I didn't think that they'd have this much pitching. They've had it. And Tristan Bissett has been nothing but a short of a superstar for this team. So kudos to Ole Miss. I just want to make sure we get that shout out in there because that was pretty harsh on them in the offseason. And I like what they're doing, and I want to make sure that we can give credit where it's due. Speaking of ACC, Will, we talked about this already. I mean, unbelievable performance from UNC over the weekend. Georgia Tech does get the Sunday game, but I was more impressed by the way that UNC came out and just took it to Georgia Tech early and just continued to pummel the baseball. Like they kept hitting the baseball until Sunday. They just hit anybody that was out there throwing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 21 runs in that series. Quite honestly, I didn't really expect out of the Tar Heels. Like I think we all acknowledge that if North Carolina was going to win, it was going to be pitching. It was going to be pitching. Thought it would be like low scoring wins. They go out and they just handled them in game 2. And granted, it's one of those things where the big question mark for me personally with Georgia Tech in the offseason was what's the pitching going to be like against high octane lineups, very talented lineups. And I know Carolina isn't a Florida State or even like a Georgia Tech level offense, but man, they went to work. And Georgia Tech's pitching, to their credit, has been really good up until this point, and it kind of felt like they were due for one of these. And we finally saw it. And Carolina took full advantage. I mean, the pitching was really good. The strategy that they pitched games 1 and 2 was fascinating. It was a lot of like pitch by committee almost. It was, 4 innings, 5 innings, 3 innings, 2 innings, that kind of thing. Didn't get an extreme amount of length out of either starter, but more than enough to get the job done. The bullpen was unbelievable for the Tar Heels in both of the wins. So you got to give a ton of credit. I mean, I think we thought it was going to be a good series, but man, just to see them shut down that Georgia Tech offense, like Carolina just feels like they boosted themselves into legit national title contenders this year. 100%. I mean, I'm bought in now. Like that pitching staff, we knew it was good, but it's like, okay, they can go out and shut down the best offense in the country, arguably. It's legit.
Yeah, the arms are there. I mean, and the bats were the thing that was always been the question this year, and they showed up for a tough weekend. Like to go win that one at home is a big one there. To go 2 out of 3, and they were impressive. I mean, Schaffner's been a stud all year, and he just continued to do so over the weekend. Owen Hull also had a big weekend, which I think was one of the big stepping stones for this team to get across. Now they're there, and it's a big one there for UNC as they move out through the rest of the season. It's really hard for me not to see them as a national seed at this point now. I think that they're pretty much locked in as a top 8, as is Georgia Tech, even with the loss. I think that both those teams in the ACC are probably locked in that top 8. Florida State probably on the outside of those top 8 right now, looking in where they could get in late. But I think that those two teams have kind of set themselves up, especially with the way that they performed this weekend. Speaking of a team that's really struggling, Jason, North Carolina State, like I know that they had more issues in the arm department this weekend, and they are down their Friday and Saturday starters currently. Like, man, this is just tough to see. I mean, they got spanked on Friday and Saturday didn't look good. They did salvage Sunday in extras, but this is not the kind of national caliber championship team that we've been known to know from an Elliott Avent team.
I agreed. I mean, NC State for me, they're a team that gives me a ton of heartburn. Like our data loves them, but they got absolutely smoked game 1 and game 2 versus Wake Forest. I mean, those weren't even close. You know, we talked about some bounce houses in Stillwater. Maybe the bounciest of bounce houses is in Salem. My goodness, 300 down the line is that's short. Just to say, you know, Ryan and Johnson, you know, had really good weekends at the plate, but then honestly, it was just a bunch of blanks. Like Sherman Johnson has been good this year, but it was a rough weekend for him. You know, similar theme to a lot of teams. You know, they don't really have like a singular pitcher that went into the 5th. I mean, I think their starting pitchers gave up 22 and 8 2/3 innings. So, you know, when you don't have Marone, and that's just kind of like it throws everything off. Well, you know, you've mentioned this in the past. Like when you don't have your Friday night guy, it creates this like ripple effect. It's like then you have to move your Saturday, and you said they even had Saturday. So like they've had these multiple ripples of like, okay, like now my maybe Sunday length guy is trying to be my Saturday bridge guy. And that's not the same spot. And so to try to expect like a Sunday length guy who maybe will have to eat a few innings and give up 2 earned runs, that's completely different than a Saturday bridge where you're hoping like this person can like stop the bleeding or keep the lead. Like it's just those are really difficult positions to kind of, you know, stamp from one person to the next. So I think you're kind of seeing a little bit of that. I think you're seeing some holes showing up in the pitching staff, and really just other than Ryan and Johnson, there was just a lot of blanks at the plate.
Yeah, too much swing and miss stuff there, especially when you're already competing down 2 pitchers. Like you got to figure out how to put the ball in play and do some bigger things offensively. And then that first game, 22-1, just felt like they never even showed up to the ballpark. And Winston-Salem, like you said, the ball flies out of there, and when Wake Forest is hitting, they're really tough. And pitching wise, like, yeah, they took care of business and they had the right guys. Like Lavonis, not his best stuff. And then Morningstar comes in and he was pretty good. Like between those 2 guys, it was like great to see that. If that's the combination they're going to go on Fridays and they're going to pitch like that, like maybe this was what Morningstar needed, was just come out of the pen and be that maybe Friday hammer guy to come in late. Like I thought he looked great. Maybe that's the role he needs. And if that's what they're going to do, that's a pretty tough Friday night team. And I think there's a lot of positivity moving forward if you're a Wake Forest fan. I mean, I think you're creeping closer to the 25 range, where a couple weeks ago you were probably closer to that 40 range. And I think that they're getting ever so close here. Speaking of another team, Miami, you know, I don't know if they're closer to what Virginia is. I mean, they're close to them in the standings, but a tough loss that 3rd game, like that Sunday game, I know it pushed a lot of people out from voting them on top 25 because first 2 games were close. They win those at Stanford. They lose the 3rd game, like, but they're very close. I think they're in the top 30 range also. Will, like, is that the cut line though that we're looking at? Is like that Wake Forest, Miami, that 8, like only 8 ACC teams?
Yeah, it's tough to say because those teams have been so hot cold, And like Wake is one of those teams I think is being heavily considered, at least for me, in terms of being ranked. Still not sold on the Canes, but again, like, how do you consider Wake but not the Canes? They're really, really close, right? And I think for me right now, that's kind of that cutoff is after Wake Forest, where like the real question marks are. I'm not a big NC State believer, and then after that, I mean, you've got Virginia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, that grouping.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's like, you got to put those games away. I mean, it wasn't a good showing, in my opinion. Like, you squeak out 2 games and then you kind of get beat up in game 3, but you're bouncing off of a really good series win against Wake. And then they've got the end of their schedule is honestly going to tell me a lot about what this team really is. You've got some teams that feel like they're sliding in the wrong direction in NC State and Louisville. And for me to really believe in what they've got going, I think they got to go beat up on those teams. Like, I think they really do. I think they got to go into Raleigh, beat up on NC State, stay at home, beat up on Louisville, who has not put it together all season long, and then they finish off in Tallahassee. And you're assuming that Florida State probably takes 2 there. I think they really got to handle business the next 2 weekends. But one of those teams I've really struggled to put my thumb on all season. I mean, I was drinking the Kool-Aid after 3 weeks. I was beating the drum, drinking the Kool-Aid. They had me fooled, and since that Florida series, it's kind of just felt like meh. So they've got some work to do for sure, but I think you have to like the position they're in, specifically in the ACC standings. Like you said, like, they're catching up on Virginia. 29-11 overall. Like, you got to like where they're at in terms of just overall body of work. But for me right now, I've got question marks. I just don't know what to make of them still.
Yeah, I think that they need to go sweep Cal, and Cal hasn't been easy. That's been a tough team so far in April. So that's not a fun one there to try to say, hey, we got to go sweep Cal or at home against Cal. But man, it's not a tough sled, especially how well they've been playing baseball. Jason, anything else you want to add on these ACC teams as we look? I mean, NC State for me is that cut line. They would be the 8th team in, just behind Wake Forest and Miami right now, but maybe we don't even get 8 in.
I just wanted to briefly mention Boston College because I think for most of this year, I've kind of viewed Boston College as like an aberration. Like, part of me, it's like waiting for, the shoe to drop or whatever the phrase is. Kind of just waiting for them to kind of like jump back to reality. And I honestly thought it was going to be this weekend because I thought Duke was up against a wall and I thought Duke wanted to go in there and show that they belonged. And it wasn't close. It was honestly kind of sad to watch that Friday game. It looked like it looked like an intra squad between a varsity and a junior varsity there for a little bit. I mean, just because Boston College was running as much as they had 14
stolen bases.
They could have had 30. I'm not even. I shit you not. They could have had 30.
They had 12 in the first 2 innings.
I sent you guys some pictures of their jumps. They were getting the shittiest of jumps and getting in there fine. Just that was a weird one for me. But to see Boston College go in there and dominate, I really just can't say enough good things about them. And it's a dominant performance over Duke, and again, a team that I thought would be fighting for their life, and it just didn't show it on the field. So I think Boston College, for me, I had them kind of like stamped in as like a 2 seed. I think they could somehow wiggle their way into that like 15, 16 seed if enough things go right.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They continue to win baseball games. They're now 14-7 in conference. I mean, their RPI's up. They're one of those teams that continues to rise. They have 31 wins overall. They've won 7 straight games. One of the longest winning streaks in NCAA baseball right now. Like, I'm more impressed every single time I watch them play. And I tuned in for all 3 games this weekend just because I was like, okay, first one was bad. Like, Duke's back is against the wall. They have to go out and win some baseball games if they want to make this tournament. And then they got swept, and Boston College looked like the better team the entire time. Like, at no point did I feel like Duke was in any of those 3 baseball games. And I was just very impressed by that team. And they've got Notre Dame coming up, and then they have Clemson, who both those teams seem to have fallen off lately, and then Georgia Tech to end it. Like, there's a good chance that they win 6 games, at least 5. Then you're talking about a 19-win team in the ACC. It's hard not to say that that team doesn't deserve to be a host.
And it's not that they're winning them, and they're plus 49 in run differential over the last 10 games. So really the only game, I mean, they lost the Virginia Tech game. I think that was the Friday game, but I think that was like a 1 or a 2 run game. I can't fully remember. So it's not
extras,
as, it's not as if they're, you know, Florida for a good example, where you just kind of like, what the hell was that game? Like, that's not really happening with Boston College. Like, they're just winning. So, I mean, to your point, they play at Clemson and at Notre Dame. I think they have a number of opportunities. I don't even think they need to win this series. Like, if they take 3 from Clemson and Notre Dame and get up to 17 conference wins, like, I given where the mush is in terms of that, like 12 through 16, I would be hard pressed to find that. I mean, they're at what? I think they're 24 in the RPI right now, so it needs to rise a little bit. But I mean, again, the non-con will hurt them a little bit. I think their non-con's pretty low, but I don't know.
If they finish at Georgia Tech,
impressed.
that's going to boost that RPI late for them too.
Yeah,
that's going to boost that RPI late. And if they steal a game from Georgia Tech, no way they don't host. I mean, if they go win 4 or 5 games out of the next 9, there's no chance. I mean, 18, 19 wins in the ACC is still a ridiculous sum of wins. So
yep,
I like their direction. I think that Bird Ball's back, and it's been a blast to watch these guys. Nick Yang, unbelievable, man. He just keeps hitting bombs. So I love it. Let's go on to Big 12 baseball. Kansas will another massive road series. Didn't look great. Game 1 got into that storm. They were down 6-2, and then Oklahoma State takes care of business early in that first one. But then Kansas wins the next 2, and a variety of ways, like lots of home runs, lots of big flies, like we talked about so much. That ballpark, it flies out of over 8, and boy, did it turn the tides for the next 2 games for Kansas.
Yeah, bandbox indeed. But I mean, Kansas, can't say enough good things about what Fitz has done there. I mean, even at the beginning of the year, I was certainly questioning it. I was like, maybe it was flash in the pan last year. Maybe the JUCO guys he brought in aren't there yet. Like, maybe they're just going to struggle this year. Maybe a bridge year. Those guys are freaking lighting it up now. Like, that, just a ridiculously good team. 2-game lead in the Big 12. I mean, I just cannot say enough good things about what that program has become. And right after them, another program that I rave about because of the coaching staff and the resources they're pouring in, it's West Virginia. Right? Those are the 2 teams right now to me that have really stood out in terms of they're recruiting differently than a lot of the other schools are. I mean, even the TCUs of the world, right? Like, there are still haves and have-nots in the Big 12, and I would still lump Kansas and West Virginia into the have-nots in terms of being able to recruit. Like, they have to recruit differently. They recruit D2, really small D1, junior college, right? And it's working. It's working really freaking well because of the coaches they have on staff. One team I do want to talk about is TCU. Right? I mentioned last Thursday, like, this could be nail in the coffin weekend for whoever loses that series. That is a huge series win.
Saved their season.
That genuinely saved their season. I full-heartedly believe that. Bumped them up to 43 in the RPI. They're right in the range for an at-large bid. They're 5th in the Big 12, and the way that TCU and UCF are trending, I anticipate them finishing 4th in the conference when it's all said and done. And they're hovering, they're 1 game under 500 in Q1 right now, right? And the non-con is really going to help them from early on in the season. I think that's going to be a big boost when it's all said and done. We're looking at at-large teams. And, I know we're big believers, and the committee definitely factors in hot, cold, hot. And I feel like that's the way that TCU is trending right now. Got to hope they get into that tournament and win a couple of games in surprise. I think that's going to be crucial for them to get in. But I think the Frogs are back on. I don't believe that they are the national title contender that we anticipated early. But when those lights come on and those kids are back in that environment that they've been in for now, 2 years, and a lot of them even multiple years, when you look at guys like Cole Kramer that have been around the block, 4 times, I like their odds. I do. I think they're going to be a dangerous team. I could see them being genuinely a 3 seed as an at-large and just being a thorn in the side of whoever they draw. I mean, that's a tough 3 seed to play if that's how it shakes out. But that's a really big series win. Baylor was playing really good baseball. TCU went out, handled business. And again, we've got UCF kind of on the slide. Seems like things haven't been the same in a couple of weeks. So I anticipate them kind of trending that direction.
Yeah, the positive thing for UCF is that their schedule does not get easier. So that's the tough thing for them is that, hey, if they win those games, the RPI is going to go back up. So they're going to get boosted back up. They're going to have that opportunity. Now, the tough thing is their schedule does not get easier, and now they got to play some more tough teams down the stretch here. I do want to talk about Cincinnati. Jason, I don't know if you have a second here to talk about Cincinnati, but taking 2 of 3 at UCF is no easy feat to travel down to Orlando and win those games, especially after you drop the opener.
Yeah, and this is another team that the formula is doing its best not to launch them back into the top 25. I can almost sense like the calculators going like, well, Coates just hit another home run. He has cooled down a little bit, I will say, but Natilli is heating back up. I think he's one of those guys when we looked at the beginning of the year and everyone was talking about, okay, who are the best catchers in the country? I think Natilli was generally in their like top 4 or so conversation.
Yeah.
And I think now it's really starting to come to fruition. He's really heating up quite a bit. Game 3 that was one of the more elite, games of the weekend. Clutch full count bomb by Pitts in the 9th. And, really, the big thing for Cincinnati is they only walked 7 in 3 games. So they did really kind of what you want to see from a winning formula. And it's good to see Natilli kind of coming back to the preseason expectations that we had for him.
Yeah, and they got 27 wins now, but it still feels like they need to get back to 500 and sitting at 8-10 in conference. They need to go out there and find wins, but this is a tournament team, and they're going to be a really tough 3 seed, I think, if they get in, if they don't scoop all the way up to a 2 seed. But this is a tough team, and the RPI says they're good. All the things, all the vision tests, every time I watch this team, I'm like, this is a good baseball team. I don't know how they're 8-10 going in conference right now, but big games coming up for them. I can't wait to see more.
I think they're right on that 2-3 line right now. If I were to guess, I would say, and honestly, I think they probably want to be a 3, because if you're that 32, that means you're going up against the one, and you don't want to go UCLA. So my assumption is I'd rather be a 3 than a 2. If I'm in that 30 to 36 region, because I feel like that's where they're at right now. I think this is going to be really unique because this is the first year that the committee is supposed to be using a different metric, and that one is for them it's called DSR. It's the Diamond Sports. They do not like Cincinnati at all. They have them 54th. So right now there's a massive gap between what the RPI says and what DSR says. So RPI says 21, DSR says 54. So the question is like, what does the committee look on this? Because I mean, there's a number of things that look good, but the 7 and 10 in conference play don't. And so you just kind of have to try to. The strength of schedule is really good. I think it's around the 20th. So there's some good things. There's not a ton of bad losses. They only have 2 Q3, Q4 losses. So I mean, they're kind of in the same boat of LSU, but they don't have as many holes, if that makes sense. Like they have holes, but it's like, but they have these positive things to go for them.
Yeah, I think that there's so many positive things moving forward when you look at it and you're like, okay, this team has the ability to be really, really good. And can they get enough wins late? I think is the biggest thing here. Can they get over that 500? I think you got to get to 15 wins in conference.
They have an easier road at the end. Now they do go at Kansas State, and it's really hard to win in Manhattan. And they have a phenomenal. That's pretty much going to be their last. They play West Virginia at home, and then at Houston. So I don't know if this sequentially that's where it's at, but kind of like from a Q1, Q2 perspective, the West Virginia series is going to be the big one for them.
Yeah, but West Virginia is this weekend.
Yeah, I think you have to at least get 2 or 3 from Houston. In Houston, I think you have to at least get 1 at Kansas State because that's going to be a Q1. And then I think you have to win this series of West Virginia. I mean, it's going to be a big series for both because I think West Virginia wants to show that they should be a host.
Yeah, and they get Texas Tech to finish. So, like, that's almost at home. Like, getting West Virginia at home, getting Texas Tech at home, those are big must-win some series there.
I mean, Texas Tech is a Q4. That's a Q4 series.
That's why I said they got to win that one. You have to at least take 2, but more than likely a sweep would do better for them at that point. But I like the Cincinnati team. I think that they get back to that 500. I think that they get in, and I think they'd be a really dangerous 3 seed in like a coastal regional. So, I think that would be a good spot for those teams. Let's talk about Big Ten. Huge Nebraska win. Jason, just massive for Nebraska to be able to take care of business and sweep USC at home this weekend. This kind of sets the stage for them. I mean, it puts them in second place in the Big Ten. They only have 3 losses. They're undefeated at home in Big Ten play. Like, this is a tough baseball team that's trying to say, hey, we deserve to be in that top, 14, 15, 16 conversation.
Oh, for sure. I think, when we went in, we were talking about this series last Monday. It was kind of this who wants to be number two. So you've got the four big teams of the Big Ten. It's okay, who wants to go behind UCLA? Because that ultimately that's where you're going to be. And so this kind of felt like one of the big determining series because you had USC who's like, hey, we're not the team that got swept by UCLA. Like we can go in, we can dominate. And I mean, they got swept again. And it wasn't just like they got swept like that. They got dominated. A pitching staff that's been known for, putting up a lot of zeros, put up some zeros, but there were some numbers in front of that zero.
Yeah.
So
outside of Mason Edwards, right? Because he was so good on Friday for them, giving up just the 2 runs in 7 innings, and then they blow that late. All the rest of the pitching staff got lit.
Yeah. And so for me, like this, I think this has a really big impact on the Big Ten because I think going into this weekend, you didn't want to say that USC was a lock to host, but it almost felt like they were a lock to be in. And I still think that they're way up there, but I don't think they're a lock anymore. As crazy as that is to say,
I don't think it's that crazy, Jason. 0 Q1 wins, not one. Yeah. They don't have a single Q1 win this season.
Yeah, I mean their RPI is it's 15th, which is phenomenal. Yeah. Like you love that, but then you look at it and you're like, well, are we going to be able to rub some quality wins together? And they have at Oregon, that's going to be massive for them. But every time it feels like they've kind of come up to this kind of challenge point, they're just not really coming to that challenge. Now, I will say, like, UCLA was a good series. Like they looked like a good team, but they also lost every game, and they lost every game here. So it's kind of one of the things like you can't have too many kind of oh well we lost but kind of phrases. No, you just lost, and so it's kind of this. All right, well, like what does that mean for USC? And if it's, I mean, I think you're right. I think Nebraska is absolutely in that conversation for the hosting now because, I mean, just right now, if the season were to end right now, they would probably be like a 13 or 14 host.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, well, then what the hell do you do with Oregon? Like, I think the Big Ten is just in a really unique spot right now. I like where it is for, I mean, everyone saw what it looked like in Nebraska. I mean, that was a phenomenal scene. I think they had like 8,000 at the Friday game or Saturday. I can't remember. So I know that the NCAA is always looking to get to the Midwest, to get out to the West, to try to increase. Like, I mean, that would be a great spot for a host. I mean, the last time they hosted, I think, was actually when Dave Van Horn was coaching them back in the early 2000s. So it's been a long time since Nebraska's kind of, pushed into that prominence, and I think they deserve to be there.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing good baseball. Will, looking at these teams here and you go, okay, USC drops. They have 0 Q1 wins. And we had a hard time talking about this team. And, we'll talk about them in a minute here, but they barely hold on to the top 25, but they're trending down. They host Purdue, who's number 3 right now in the Big Ten, and Purdue keeps winning baseball games. Like, they're no joke right now in Big Ten play.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up when we were talking about USC, and Purdue is bizarre. Like when you go and look at the statistics, you wouldn't really think that they're as high up as they are. I mean, the offense has been fantastic, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. Like, are they going to score enough? And sure, like I think Nebraska, quite frankly, got a little lucky on Friday. That's where, being the home team really helps, in my opinion. Yeah, you get yeah, right.
I will say you saw the strike,
screaming fans, and a little bit of mistakes.
You saw the strike 3. I think that went to the bottom, like went to the 10th. I mean, that ball was was that Carey? I think that was against Carey. That ball was like literally at his shins. It was either Carey or Grego. I can't remember which one.
But in terms of, I mean,
it was rough.
Throwaway on a sack bunt, like like you got a little bit lucky. However, they played fantastic against the bullpen, like not taking anything away. They found a way to win a game that Mason Edwards threw really well in. If Purdue can find a similar way, maybe not in Friday, but let's just say on Saturday, if they find a way to got a good shot to win Sunday too. Like, again, USC was a team that I was texting you guys about on Sunday. Like, are they out? And it seemed really harsh to bump them out, from we had them at 14th
I didn't have them in mind.
We had them at, 13 last week or whatever. And, it's kind of like who's playing better baseball right now to me. Like, I think you could have slotted Wake in there and no argument out of me, right? I think there's 5 teams that you could have slotted at 25 instead of USC, and I would have had no qualms with it. Just felt aggressive to bump them from that high out. But to your point, like, no wins in Q1 games, and quite frankly, they haven't looked particularly good in any of those Q1 games.
Outside the UCLA ones, yeah.
But even so, like, the starting pitching was really good against UCLA, but I would say as a unit, they didn't look great. Like, I don't think they've played a complete good game against a Q1 team. And I think that's a bigger indicator than the record itself, which the record itself is a huge red flag already. But again, like, this is a team that if they find a way into the tournament, I hate to see them be drawn to you. Like, I think realistically, the RPI is really high. When it's all said and done, depending on how it goes, I mean, I think they're a fringe 2-3. I think they're a 2-3, like on the cut line kind of deal. I mean, that's a team that you hate to see come down because I think the pitching is really good in a regional setting. Like, I'd be pissed if I drew USC as a 3 seed in my region. So, but again, like, I can't buy in. Like, the starting pitching is phenomenal for the most part. It really is. But again, I think it's the way they've looked in those Q1 games is a bigger indicator than that 0-8 record.
It feels like this weekend is really massive for them against Purdue because Purdue only has 9 games left in conference. They already have 15 wins amassed. If somehow Purdue goes and takes 2 of 3 at USC, then you're talking about USC would have to be the 5th team in. Like, yeah, they'd have to be the 5th team in the Big Ten, and I don't think the Big Ten gets 5 teams in. I mean, it just the numbers don't add up to say that. So they might be on the outside looking in, even with that RPI and their hot start. Like, so they got to figure out a way to win. And Purdue on the same side, they have at USC, then they get home Indiana and at Iowa. They've shown that they could go win some of those baseball games. If they go win 6 of those games, they're looking at a spot saying, "Hey, we deserve to be in the tournament. We're a 3 seed no matter what." Like, so it's tough. I think that there's going to be some movement around, but the Big Ten has been fun down the stretch. We all know what UCLA is. But the rest of these teams like Nebraska's, the Oregons, like Oregon drops one at Illinois, and where Illinois walks it off with a big bomb late, like that would have been great for Oregon to sweep. But they didn't get the sweep. They just felt like they haven't been able to get those sweeps against those kind of teams. Oregon's got some tough games coming up. They still have USC. They still have UCLA. Like, this is not they finished with UCLA and then at home against USC. So their schedule's not easy. Like, that might be the team that maybe drops out, and they're a top 15 team for us right now. So I'm very interested to see what this does for the rest of the Big Ten season. Very, very excited. And even the postseason play. I mean, that tournament's going to be a freaking blast in Omaha. So very excited for that one there. Let's talk about the teams that have dropped out. But before I do that, we want to get to our Visual Edge partners and talk about a little bit about what makes them great. Like, how do you get good at baseball? You got to do some things, right? You got to get better at it. Are you training how fast you process the game? At the college level, the jump speed is real. If you're even slightly behind recognizing the spin or the depth, you're already way behind. Visual Edge trains the visual and cognitive skills that sit underneath performance, pitch recognition, tracking accuracy, reaction time, and decision speed. You begin with something called the Edge test. It benchmarks you against other players at your age and level, so you can actually see your numbers specifically. The system builds and personally designs a test for you. That way you can get better at what you're bad at. It only takes about 15 minutes a day. That's one short session on your laptop or tablet, even in your dorm room, at home, on the road, wherever you are. Anything bigger than a phone works. Listeners of this show can use code CBSHOW for the first month free 3D glasses, and free shipping. No long-term contract. Cancel anytime. Go to visualedge.com/sign up and use code CBSHOW. That's visual with a Z. When the game speeds up, train your brain to slow it down. Teams that dropped out here are teams that are back in the top 25 for us. Arizona State and Missouri State back in. No new teams this week, which kind of tends to be the case this late in the season, where it's really hard for a new team to kind of jump in there. Thoughts on those two teams jumping back into the top 25? Will, I mean, I literally said it on last week's show. These two teams could jump back in the top 25, and they're back in.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Arizona State was the one team last week that we really struggled bumping out, and it genuinely didn't. I mean, me and Jared went back and forth talking about it. It was like, it doesn't even seem right to bump them out, but there were such big series wins last week that it felt like someone had to go, and Arizona State had the lowest RPI, the lowest Q1 record. And it was like, I guess it's got to be Arizona State. I don't know that they ever should have fell out, to be quite honest with you. So it feels right to have them back in. I'll be honest. That was an easy decision. It was like last week felt like they probably shouldn't have been out, but there were some teams like Arkansas that played particularly well last week that it was like, well, how do you leave them out after sweeping Alabama? And we'll get to Arkansas, but that showed again. And it was the same thing with Missouri State, right? Like they were the unfortunate recipient of other teams winning huge series, whereas, they went and beat the brakes off of Delaware last week and then took, a good series win this past weekend, suffering their first home loss of the season, but taking 2 or 3 out of Western Kentucky, and they just continue to roll. So, neither of those teams are surprising. We talked about it before the show. I know Jack State fans, we've basically become just complete enemies with their fan base. But, I mean, the top couple of teams in CUSA have been really, really, really solid. And, to me, it's Missouri State because of the non-conference schedule. We've talked about it before. Like, Jack State really hasn't played anybody out of conference, nor have they really played anybody in conference. I mean, the top team that they've played in the conference was Liberty, and they lost the series. Like, to me, that's – yes, you're first in the conference, but it doesn't tell the story, right? I think Missouri State on paper and in reality is the better team. They play in I believe they play in 2 weeks, so we'll really get to see it. They play in Springfield, so I guess I might eat my words in 2 weeks, but as of right now, I believe Missouri State is the better team, and I quite honestly, I don't know that it's that close. I know Jack State, again, the record is really good. They're knocking on the door 30 wins already. Or 40 wins.
40 wins, yeah.
Yeah, they're knocking on the door 40 wins. And quite honestly, like, I don't know that CUSA gets more than one team unless a Jack State wins the tournament and then Missouri State gets an at-large. I see that being really the only scenario, or vice versa, of them getting 2 teams. So not surprising. I believe Missouri State is the best team in this conference. I know they lost at DBU, a weird series, a couple of bouncing balls that get through the infield away from winning that series. But I truly believe on paper and eye test-wise, Missouri State's the best team in this conference.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year in the Southland. 2 45-win teams in Southeast Louisiana and Lamar both didn't make it in, and they had 45 wins, and neither one of them got into the tournament just because of RPI and everything else. It kind of lines up the same here for Jack State, especially down the stretch here. If they don't go get those wins and stay in first and win the conference tournament, like Missouri State has a better RPI, has better non-conference, like it's going to be really tough to have that conversation. Jason, any thoughts on these two teams jumping in Arizona State and Missouri State? I mean, we've already had them before, and they kind of deserve to be right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this previously, but Missouri State, they can match with anyone. So kind of just the question is, can they keep their opponents from also mashing?
Yeah.
They'll be a fun 2 seed somewhere. And I think they have another fun midweek coming up with Arkansas. It's either tonight or tomorrow night. Yeah, it's going to be a really important game for both teams from an RPI perspective. I think that's Missouri State's last Q1 opportunity, and Arkansas is still kind of teetering in that 2-3 section in the RPI from that 30 to 36. So it'll be a really important game for both teams. So I think both are deserved. I think Missouri State's maybe a little less than Arizona State, but that's just my opinion.
Great. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that we would all agree that it's right there. Like Arizona State probably better, especially what they're doing against better competition and going and winning the last 2 of the weekend against the BYU team that's been really scrappy, a really good BYU team, especially at Miller Park. So I think that was the biggest difference there. Arkansas and UCF drop out, Jason. UCF was not as surprising after losing 5 of the last 6 in Big 12 play, and losing 2 at home against Cincinnati. Granted, Kansas and Cincinnati, 2 very good Big 12 teams, so it's not like it's a discredit to them. But I felt like that was necessary. Arkansas just feels like it's just a teeter-totter every single week, and I just don't know what Arkansas team I'm going to get. And it felt like giving up 26 and 9 home runs in that game to Georgia, I think that was the nail.
Yeah, I think UCF is still, I think they're a good team. I think they're just kind of in the dip that it feels like every team is experiencing, kind of once or twice this season. So, they had their chance to take this series versus Cincinnati, but they kind of just couldn't put it away. I think it's one of those that it's like, if a few things would have switched here or there, it almost would have felt like Arizona State of last week where, very similarly, it felt like they were right on the cusp of losing that series to Utah. It's just for UCF, they didn't follow through, whereas Arizona State they did. So I don't think this is really more of an inclination of okay, see UCF isn't who we thought. I think UCF is good. I just think they're just kind of going through that dip. Arkansas, on the other hand, I don't know. Their pitching is rough. It's rough right now. Now I will say they've got a very solid Friday night duo right now. So they've got Dietz and they've got McIlvain. Those two guys can get you like 7 to 8 innings of like 3-run ball. So they can play with any team on a Friday. They can lose to any team on a Saturday and a Sunday. They just and it's what makes and we'll get to Alabama. It's what makes that series kind of a little bit of an oddity. But I mean, frankly, they had 6 errors on Sunday. Everyone always points to fielding percentage. Fielding percentage is just the most dog shit, stat of all time because they had 6 errors. There probably could have been a dozen. I mean, they had like ground double play balls that were booted. They had errors that were called hits. There was just a number of things. There's just every time it felt like, I mean, they were up 6-1 in that Sunday game. I think like in the third. And it was just like, just put up a damn 0. And then they'd have a walk and an error and a home run, a walk, error, home run, double error, home run. Like that's basically how it felt like the game was going. So I think they've got just a substantial number of holes right now. Now I say that, and I think having watched as many games as I can, everyone has holes. Like everyone has holes. So I think the oddity is like you saw a team that came into this season like top 5, and you were kind of like, hey, this team has less holes. I think the feel for them is that no, their holes are substantial, just like the rest of everyone else. So I think they're in that mush. They're in that mush of 15 to 35. Now, can they play to that 15? Yeah, they absolutely can. Can they play even to like the 55? Yeah, they absolutely can. So like I think they can be. They're a Jekyll and Hyde of a team, and they have no pitching depth right now. I mean that Sunday game versus Georgia, they just ran out of arms, quite legitimately. Yeah. I mean they threw Brumbaugh, their starting shortstop, in the 9th inning. So that kind of like tells you where they're at as a team right now.
I said it on the Saturday morning show. I go, this is going to come down to there's not going to be enough arms for Arkansas when we get to Sunday. And that's exactly how it turned out. Like they just, and Georgia has arms. Like that was the difference. Like they had enough bullpen arms to go to where they could go get those outs. And again, another weekend where Aoki was stellar on the mound for Georgia. And he's just been so good out of the pit for them. Like,
I mean, Georgia had Viggy for 2 innings, 3 innings, and then he had the arm stiffness. So thankfully, like again, I think they call it arm cramps or whatever they want to call it. So I mean, it looks like he'll be fine. But I don't know if y'all were watching that game. That was a weird interaction because it was I want to say it was going into the third.
It was going into the third.
Yeah, Viggy went out there. He threw some warm-up pitches, and then the trainers came out there and took him out. And Wes Johnson went up to Aoki and was basically like, "Take your damn time." And he literally was in there with like, the PVC pipe, like shaking it back there. Like they basically just had to go in and like the color guy and the play-by-play went into the depths of their playbook trying to like bring up as many things because there was a 20-minute break for this guy to warm up, throw some pitches, and get back in the game. It was a weird situation. So it was almost like, holy shit, like Arkansas won Friday. They just had this curveball, almost similar to what we had with West Virginia versus UCF, where pitcher goes down so early, you're like, hey, this is a great opportunity for the team, and it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah. Will, any thoughts on Arkansas, UCF dropping out? I think we all think that UCF is still right in that top 32. They just happen to have 2 tough weekends, but Arkansas could be anywhere from 32 to 16 any weekend.
Yeah, Arkansas and Florida are the 2 teams that like are both 10 and 50. There's no feel for me on those teams. There really is not any feel. Like sometimes they come out and I'm just like, holy cow, like I was wrong about this team. And then sometimes I see them like, maybe onto something. UCF going through the struggles, obviously like you lose your number 1. They're adjusting to that, figuring that all out. Luckily, they've played enough good baseball to kind of position themselves to where they can afford this little dip.
Yeah.
They'll go to Salt Lake next weekend, and then they've got Arizona State. So they've got like Utah's been really frisky. So you got to win 2 there. And then I think at that point, you'll really be seeing, what the new UCF is. I think they've got some time to kind of figure some things out before the tail end of the season. Yeah. But I still think this is a really, really good baseball team. You ran into 2 really tough teams. You ran into Kansas, and you played really well at Hogland. Like those games were all tight,
all
right?
good games.
Yeah, and I talked about it after that series. It was really the bullpen was the issue, right? Like they struggled putting games away when they were in good positions in all 3 games. And then you lost a weird one on Sunday to Cincinnati. Like that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that it happened at home. It's one of those games where, when you get beat like that on the road, you're like, it's just a weird Sunday on the road. You got beat. Tough one to swallow at home, in my opinion, especially you had a good chance there to kind of put Cincinnati away. But man, Quentin Coates, that kid is unbelievable. 23 home runs so far this season.
Yeah.
But I think both are, fair to drop them out.
Yeah. And I think that there's still room for either one of these teams to get back in. I mean, Arkansas plays at Missouri this weekend. They could easily sweep that. I don't know if that's going to move the needle for me. But then they have, they still have games against Oklahoma, and they still have at Kentucky. Like I still think there's room for this Arkansas team to get back into that top 25 at some point. Yep. Like it's still there in front of them if they start playing good baseball again. Let's go to the top 25. USC drops all the way down to number 25 here. The biggest drop for us, 15. And I think that it was like really on the cusp. There was like half and half of us had them ranked. Half of us didn't have them ranked. The fact of the matter is 0 quad 1 wins. Now, high RPI. They had that huge winning streak to start the season off. I think that we believe in their starting pitching, but they've shown that the bullpen has had struggles against good hitting teams. And that's the thing that I think when we look forward is like, that's tough. They have a big series here this weekend against Purdue. They get the chance to play Rutgers, and then they have Oregon to end it. Like there's not a ton of opportunity here for them. If they struggle this weekend against Purdue, they've basically played their way into where they'd have to sweep Oregon to end the season. And that's a tough spot to be in. So USC here at 25, but on the trending down, I feel, and I think everybody in the country kind of feels the same about them. They've really got to find themselves. And if they go sweep Purdue this weekend, you feel differently about this team. But if they happen to lose the series, it's a whole nother ball game, and they may be finding their way not in the tournament again, which would be just an insane thing. Number 24, Missouri State. Jason, we talked about them a little bit here, and, they mash. This is a team that can mash. Can they get enough pitching? I don't know. They've got some really tough series coming up here in conference, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, they took 2 or 3 from a good Western Kentucky team, but I wouldn't call either game like clean.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes down to, where are they? And can they pitch? That's basically the question that's going to determine how far Missouri State goes is can they pitch? So, near 7 ERAs a staff, really had to rely on their bullpen as, 14 of the 19 earned runs on the weekend came from the starters and only like 12 2/3. But, when you have Bogenpol as maybe like your 5th best hitter on the weekend and you win a series in conference play, you're happy.
Yeah.
So, what looks to be their last Q1 of the year, like we talked about, will be Arkansas the midweek. So from a seeding standpoint, that's going to be a really big game. So I think for Missouri State, they just need to avoid the landmines and see if they can take advantage of this last big game.
I agree. I think that it's just going out there and seeing if you can beat Arkansas. You already beat them once this year. See if you can do it again. And then, even if you can't, take care of business in the conference games. Like if you go beat Jack State, all of a sudden you're still feeling pretty good about yourself. There's room for them to be feeling pretty good about themselves around the rest of the season. Number 23, Arizona State, also back in. Will, this feels like the right spot for them right now. And I don't know how much higher they can get. They do have some tough games coming up where if they can go win those, then you're talking about, boosting them up. But they're sitting well behind West Virginia and Kansas currently.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they still got the series with UCF in 2 weeks. For me, the biggest thing with Arizona State is them struggling outside of Hairston. So the stats on paper are really good, but we've seen when that offense goes cold, it's like it's Hairston and everybody else. And they just need a little bit more and it feels silly to say they need more consistency as a team because they're hitting 324 as a team. And the guys behind Harrison have actually hit really well this season. Like New Contreras is hitting 364. And Dean Toigo is in the 330s. Like these guys have all hit really well. But it seems like the games where Arizona State struggles, it's literally just Landon Harrison versus the world. Again, the body of work is really good. But it seems like when hitters 2 through 4 go quiet or 2 through 5 go quiet, they all go quiet. And I think that's what you have to avoid if you're Arizona State. I mean, Cole Carlin is as good as they come. 86 strikeouts in 52 innings so far. Landon Harrison is on pace to have one of the best offensive seasons in college baseball history. I mean, he's knocking on the door with the same OPS as Charlie Condon in his Golden Spike season. I mean, he's got the 1.4, knocking on 1.5. I mean, he's 988 slugs, so do with that as you will. And he's walking more than he's striking out. So, like, the kid is just otherworldly. I know the Golden Spikes has trended towards draftier players, but I think if there's a year where a non-draftier guy could win it or should win it, I think it's this year. I mean, that kid is unbelievable, but well-deserved to be back in. Like I said, I don't know that we ever should have bounced them to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're right there and they have a superstar. Like that's one of those marks that you say, hey, this is a team that could play their way into being a top 16 team because they have a superstar and they have a guy that could be in the Golden Spikes. He's only behind Tig Davis in the home run contest right now. And Davis is built like the fifth Gronkowski brother. Like there's a reason why he has 24 home runs. The dude's massive and he hits 500-foot home runs. Like Harrison, I really like where he's at. And I think that he's going to be a superstar at the next level also. I mean, I think that's why he's pushing to be right there with Dax Whitney as that 1-1 pick in that draft now. I think we all agree Dax Whitney's 1-1, and then probably somebody, whoever gets the consolations getting Harrison. You're not upset about that, honestly. Like if you draw and you're like, oh, well, I got the 2 pick. I'm still pretty good spot here. But I think that that's just why we have Arizona State here. And I think that they have the ability to continue moving up, especially if they take care of business at UCF in 2 weeks. That would tell us a lot of things about this team. Number 22, Bird Ball. Boston College, man. This team continues to win. They keep finding ways to win. They have 14 wins in conference. That is a 14-7 in conference. They are ahead of the likes of Florida State, of Virginia, of the Miamis. Like this team is sitting there, taking care of business, beating the people that are in front of them. Now they have Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Then they have at Clemson. If they go win 4 or 5 of those, like Jason and I talked about earlier, I don't see how you keep this team out of hosting. Even if they got swept at the end of the year at home against Georgia Tech, I still think that you have to put this team in. If they get to 18 wins in conference, it'd be really hard for me to say that this team does not deserve to be a host team. They've played well all season. They do the little things right. Like we said, they stole 14 bases, but they can also slug. Like this team is a lot of fun to watch. If you haven't checked out Bird Ball, go check it out. They got Notre Dame on Friday. Must watch baseball. I love where they're at. And they got their midweeks aren't great for the rest of the season here. So it's really going to come down to can they go out and take care of business against the ACC opponents. So I'm excited for more Bird Ball, honestly. It's been a lot of fun to watch these guys continue to succeed. I was with Jason. At some point, I thought that this team would stumble. They haven't. They just keep beating it. And they were right there with UNC, who we just saw what they did to Georgia Tech. They could have taken 2 or 3 in that series, too. It took UNC coming back and winning late on the Saturday game. Otherwise, Boston College is sitting there with 2 wins in that series also. Number 21, Jason, is Florida, down 3. Kind of fair, I think. Like, this is a top 25 team, but I think that the hitting just disappears some days.
Yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, hitting is always going to be their nemesis. And, they went up against one of the best pitching staffs in the country in Auburn, and this is what happened. So, not a lot of people, were getting on this weekend. Aiden King was really, really good. I understand why they're here. Got some odd losses, some Q4, Q3, but I think they've got 12 Q1 wins, and they show that they're just a different team on the weekends. I have this debate with people, and it always seems to get into this big discussion about, the foundation of the game or whatever. But I think Florida just treats weekdays and weekends just completely differently than some schools do. There are some schools that look at it like a Missouri State or a Southern Miss, or the opportunities to say, hey, we know we're in the Conference USA. We know we're in the Sun Belt. Like, we need to go in there. We need to dominate the midweeks to show that we have that life to be either the 14 to the 16 or like a high, 2 seed. For teams like Florida, they're just like, hey, this is a really good opportunity for my freshman to throw 2 innings, and I'm going to throw.
It feels like an inter-squad practice.
Yeah, and so I think this is one of the things where when you see like a loss to Bethune-Cookman, like you just say it happens. Now Bethune-Cookman's pretty good this year, by the way. Everyone keeps pointing like they're pretty good this year. So that one kind of makes a little the high point, 2 out of 3 when it really should have been a sweep. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like I hear you, like trust me. And they're 5-5 in their last 10, so they're confusing. They're very confusing. But again, Sear had 4 bombs. That was also quite a surprise. Serwick was really good, but then everyone else was just kind of at or below the Mendoza line. So I think you're just going to kind of constantly be in this, like, who are they? If they can put up 6 runs, they're going to be one of the best teams in the country. If they put up 2 runs, they're going to oscillate back and forth like they have been. So I think this is just who Florida is. I do think they're better than 21, but I also understand the 21 because of the 5 and the 5 in the last 10.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to the big enigma in Liam Peterson, because can he get them a Saturday win now that he's switched to the Saturday role? Can he be enough? I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. We saw it when they scored 6 runs on Friday. They won. Aiden King threw well. They go out and win that baseball game, and then they lose the next 2. Like, what are they going to get offensively? It was good to see Sear go hit, right? Like, it was good to see him get the long ball going. If he can add on to what Lawson's been doing, like they have some guys there, and maybe it's enough. Kyle Jones has kind of fallen off, but if he gets going again at the top of that lineup and kind of gives them the opportunity, there's some chances. Sirowick, again, another guy who could take off and be good. They have weapons. They're just not all firing at the same time. It feels like they're kind of scattered. So
exactly, they have depth. I mean, they have Bowen, Sirowick, Sear, Lawson, Kurland. They've got a lot of depth. Jones. But it just, as you said, it doesn't really ever feel like they're meshing at the right time.
Yeah. We'll see. Lots of games left for them. Number 20, Oklahoma, no movement. They did sweep Missouri. But, Will, this is a weird team, and they got some brutal series coming up. I mean, they're at Auburn. They are at home against Florida. Then they have Arkansas and Tennessee to end the year out. They got 4 tough SEC series coming up.
Yeah, this feels like a fair spot for this team. Like, I think through the course of the season, Oklahoma has shown that they're in that, I'll just say that, 20 to 30 range. And the teams that are very clearly ahead of that range kind of beat up on them. But the teams that they're better than, like, they do handle business against. Like, this feels like a good spot for them, regardless of even looking through the resume and through the body of work. Like, beat up on Vanderbilt, beat up on LSU, and they have the marquee series win against Texas A&M early, which I think boosts them a ton, especially with what the Aggies have done of late. But then you look at what happened against Alabama a couple weeks ago. Like, Alabama really played well that series, kind of took it to them. I kind of think it's going to be the same thing against Auburn this weekend. I think they're going to really struggle. But they've got 2 really solid starting pitchers, right? Cam Johnson has been really solid for them, and LJ Mercurius has been fantastic. I mean, 71 punch-outs in 49 innings. Like, that's really, really solid to just 15 walks. So they've gotten good length from the starters. Like, they've got some really solid bullpen arms that have given them significant and good innings. Like, Jason Bowden has been really good for them. Again, this feels like a team that is comfortably in this 20 to 30 range. Like, teams that are better than them show it when they play, right? And teams that they're better than show it when they play. It's kind of the best way I can describe Oklahoma at this point in the year.
It doesn't feel like a team that's going to sneak up and beat a top 10 team, but it also doesn't feel like a team that's going to lose to a 50 team. Like, it feels like they're going to beat every team that's ranked 50, and they're going to lose to every team that's ranked 10. Like, that's really where it feels like this team is. And I like that the pitching keeps them in baseball games. So you got to love when a team has good enough pitching to keep them in baseball games. Skip Johnson loves small ball. He's going to do the little things to try to keep this team in baseball games. And that's what you kind of need down the stretch. And they're going to need it because they have 4 really tough series coming up, and they're only sitting at 10-8 currently in conference. They're going to have to go out and win 4 of those next, 4 series. Like, 4 games is not impossible for this team. I think that they definitely get in. I just don't think that they put themselves in that host conversation. I don't think they ever get into that conversation again. Number 19, Alabama, up to Jason. This is a team that has been really fringe of being, are they a host or what kind of team are they? Like, they're sitting at 500. They took 1 from Texas at Texas. Not easy to do. they also have not looked great in some series. So I don't really know how to feel about this Alabama team, but it was a big win for them to at least get one against Texas.
Yeah, I literally the first line I was thinking of when I was kind of doing some review of this was like, part of me wanted to be like, up two, is this a typo? And now I get it. Like
it felt weird.
I was like, they're really good, but they're also 4-6 in their last 10. We've talked about like the roller coasters of the season. There may not be a more roller coaster of roller coasters than Alabama. Like 2 sweeps in a row, get swept. They got swept by Kentucky. So they've been swept by Kentucky and they've been swept by Arkansas. They also swept Mississippi State and who did they sweep? Tennessee? Did they sweep Tennessee? Is that right? Florida. Yeah. So like just and then they go up against Texas. And Texas is really good. Texas can pitch. Yeah. But they put up a real stinker offensively. I mean, the metrics love them. They're 4th in the RPI right now. We've been talking about their hitting. They had a 451 OPS as a team this weekend. As a team, Torres has really been struggling. I think I don't know if we talked about this. I think after their Florida series, it's like they have their 14. They're just going to go. I feel like they're almost trying to figure out like, do we just ride out this dip or do we try to change that 14? I think they ride out the dip because the dip isn't bad. Like they're still 4th in the RPI. Everything is still pointing to either a host or a 2 seed. So I think you write it out. But I mean, LeBron's having kind of another one of those like, hey, he was really good in the non-con and then when in a conference, it's like, what is he? I mean, he was maybe the best hitter for them over the weekend and he had a 657 OPS. So end of the day, Upchurch is really good. He looked really good. The metrics are really good, but I just don't know on this team. One of these schedules that you may look at and say, hey, this looks like an easier schedule. But then when I think you look at it, and when I mean by easier schedule, I mean the tail end, they've got a couple of games against some teams that I think they're going to kind of be looking at it. And not that they'll play above where they were like for previous to their schedule, but I think they're going to have like something to play for. So like when they go at Tennessee, like Tennessee is going to want to show that they could potentially be into that hosting spot. When they play Ole Miss at home, Ole Miss is going to want to show like, hey, we're going to be one of those top 8 national seeds because they're going to be in that discussion. Then they go to at South Carolina. And then the thing is like, South Carolina is playing better right now. Now I get it. Like they're still not like turning that into, but they're playing better ball. And then they play Vanderbilt. Like Vanderbilt is such an oddity, and it's not a team that I doubt we talk about tonight. But I mean, they're 9-9 in conference play.
Yeah,
there is a better than good chance that they get to that magic 13 number, and they're like in the 100. It's a Q3 game right now for Alabama. So this is what I mean by like if you look at almost from like an RPI perspective, like like they only have 7 Q1 games left instead of this team that has 15. But I think that at Southern out at South Carolina, which is a Q2, and that Vanderbilt, which is a Q3, is going to look harder than it will on paper.
Yeah, and I mean, Vanderbilt's not a team you want to mess around with. They can hit home runs. We've seen it. They can hit. Yeah. Now, can they pitch? Not past Friday. I mean, but they
should have swept. I mean, Kentucky hit a walk-off grand slam with an 0-2 count in the 9th. So I mean, I get it. You don't want to walk a guy, but you also don't want to throw an 0-2 meatball
right down the middle of the plate.
Yeah. So is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and Tennessee is dangerous too. I mean, we saw what they did to Mississippi State the other weekend. So this is not an easy schedule for them, but it's a very winnable schedule for Alabama to go get 6 wins and get to 15 wins. Doesn't feel like it's outside the possibility here, and then putting themselves in that conversation at hosting. Like they got to take 3 from South Carolina, which isn't easy, and then you just got to find 3 somewhere else to get to 15 wins and put yourself kind of in that host conversation. I think that Alabama's right there. I think that they've done enough this season to show that, but they are just roller coastery. So
I mean, if the season ended right now, they'd 100% be hosting. 100%.
I think I'd have them in at like 15 or 16, but they'd be in.
I mean, they're 4th in RPI. They're 10th in DSR. I mean,
strength of schedule's tough. Their
strength of schedule's 2 overall. Their non-con's 41.
Yeah.
So I mean, everything is pointing to where their objective numbers are a lot better than their subjective numbers. Now, again, I get it. 4-6 in your last 10, but it's supposed to be a review of your full season, not just your last, whatever games.
Yep, I agree. I'm right there with you. So I think that's probably why we bumped them up also. And a win at Texas is never easy against how good Texas is, and to hold Texas to 1 and win that game 2-1. So I think you give them a little bit of credit there with the road victory. Road victories are tough. We talk about it all the time. Southern Miss up 1. I'm taking this one because I wanted to say, hey, I told Southern Miss fans that if they took care of business and beat Texas State, I would talk positively about this team and rank them. I have done so. I'm a man of my word. I believe that this team is playing better baseball as of this last weekend. Before that, I didn't think so. I did not like where this team was headed. I did not think that they were the second best team even in the Sun Belt. They're there. Now, do I think that they should host? No, they should not. While the Pete Taylor is awesome and it'd be fantastic to have it there, they're not a host team right now. They're not that good as far as being a host team. They could prove me wrong. They don't play Coastal the rest of the season. They don't really have any great games coming up for the rest of the season. They did take care of business against Texas State, which they needed to do. Grayson Harris is an unbelievable Friday night guy for them. I think that they have a Friday night ace in him, and they're getting enough offense from everybody else. But if you watch those games, a lot of those runs were late for them, and then they had to come back. They had to play some good baseball against Texas State to win those, which is impressive. I don't know if they would have done that on the road. I don't know if they would have done that at Texas State. And that's kind of the feeling I get from this team is they get a lot from their home crowd energy, which is awesome. And it's not enough when you're going to be playing teams that are better than Texas State. Well, as much as I like Texas State, that's not a top 25 team in Texas State. And it took you every bit to beat them at home. Like, it's a good Southern Miss team. They should be here. They should be ranked. And if they had lost this weekend, I would not have ranked them. But they did win. And they beat a good Texas State team, and they are now second in Sun Belt Conference. I think the Sun Belt now has kind of played its way into a 2-team bid again. I think it's just Coastal and Southern Miss, and I think that those are the only 2 teams that get in from the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I think South Alabama could maybe try to make a crazy push. Yeah. When do they go at South Alabama? I know Southern Miss goes South Alabama. I think they're like 80th in the RBI. I know. I just that's their kind of. Southern Miss, they don't have any Q1 games remaining. They just have that Q2.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Right,
their schedule doesn't line up for them to boost up at all, honestly. Yeah. But they do have, let me see here. I know it's this weekend they have South Alabama. Scrolling. It is, this weekend they have South Alabama. So they got South Alabama, then ULM, and then James Madison. So they're in Georgia Southern. So their schedule for Sun Belt is not great. They need to go and take care of business this weekend at South Alabama. So,
which I think it's going to be hard. I mean, South Alabama, it's hard. They're 4-5 in Q1 games, so it's unique to say, but this is kind of like their last big test before they get to Sun Belt, conference tournament. So they're really going to have to show out here, and I just don't know if they have the offensive firepower to go out. If that makes sense. I think they just need to win.
Yeah. Yep. They have to win. And that's what they've been doing. That's the difference between them and Coastal right now is that Coastal keeps winning every series and taking care of business and sweeping, whereas Southern Miss has not done those in conference. That's the biggest difference between these 2 teams, I feel. Number 17, Ole Miss, they didn't move at all, which is fair. I mean, they took 2 of 3 from Tennessee. It was at Tennessee, and I kind of expected them to kind of bump up a little bit, but the teams ahead of them also played well. There wasn't a lot of movement up ahead of those guys. Like, there wasn't anybody dropping out of the top 15, 16 teams this week. Ole Miss, very good baseball team, though. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah, the spots like 13 to 18, 19 this week were zero movement. Like, everybody was in a good position, and everybody kind of did the same thing this weekend. So everyone kind of just stayed there. Less USC jumping down. Everybody moved up like 1. Ole Miss is in a pretty good spot, 10-8 in SEC play. However, I'll die on the hill. I think they have the hardest schedule remaining of any SEC team. So
not easy. Yeah, I feel that Ole Miss has had the hardest baseball schedule in the SEC.
In the midweek at Fayetteville. I definitely cut out there. I do think they have the hardest schedule, right? Georgia and Oxford this weekend, Mississippi State in the midweek, at Fayetteville, Texas A&M at home, at Alabama.
Like, all Q1 games, right? It's all Q1. They have all Q1 games remaining.
So like, you look at it twofold, right? Like, if they walk out of those 4 series with a winning record, like, they're hosting.
And don't they play Troy in the midweek as well?
Or no, they've got
is that Bama?
Murray, I think it's Bama. They've got Murray State.
Okay.
Yeah, Murray State in the midweek and UT Martin in the midweek. But if they go out of those 4 series and they walk away with a winning record, I think this is a host. I think this is a host team for sure. They put themselves in a position where, to be 100% honest, like, I know they only got to get 3 wins, but like even 4 wins, like that might be tough out of this. Like, there is a world where they lose all 4 of these series. Obviously, like, I think they're going to win at least 3 games in SEC play the rest of the way, but this is a brutal schedule. The starting pitching for them has been amazing, though. Cade Townsend and Hunter Elliott have been unbelievable for them. They've gotten really good pitching out of the bullpen, especially from a guy like Walker Hooks, who's got 4 saves this season. And then obviously on offense, like Tristan Becerra is just lighting the world on fire at 1.2 OPS with 19 homers, 50 RBI. So this is a really complete team, and quite honestly, I'll eat the trash because like I didn't really think they were going to be much of anything this season, and they've been really solid. But like I said, a brutal stretch of games. Luckily for them, I think they play the harder teams at home, so that definitely goes in their favor. But not an easy stretch to finish off in. And truly, if they want to host, I think they've got to win at least 2 of those 4 series. Like I think you got to beat Bama and Arkansas. And you can't get swept by either of Georgia or blanking, but yes, but Georgia
like and 5 wins. It feels like 5 wins gets them there, and that might be wild out of the last 12 games to go 5-7 in the SEC games. But that gets them to 15, and that might be enough to get to that 14, 15, 16 spot with how tough their schedule's been.
Tennessee hosted with 15 last year, so
yeah,
it's doable. My personal opinion is they have leave with a winning record. You leave those 4 series with a winning record, I think they're pretty much a lock to host, unless Oklahoma or Alabama goes nuclear the last 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I like this Ole Miss team. I like the direction they're heading. Like I said, I was with Will. I think we both beat them up on the SEC preview show, and they've taken care of business. I mean, they've played better baseball than a lot of us thought that they would. I didn't think that Tristan Becerra would be this good. I didn't think he'd be that guy after seeing him at Clemson previously. Like, I didn't think he'd step into this role and be this guy. So I'm very impressed with him, and I'll eat all the garbage, like Will says, as it comes to the tournament time here as we look at Ole Miss. Number 16, Mississippi State, Jason. They did not move either. Kind of same boat. Like, took care of business, but it's a tough spot to move up right now.
Yeah. I think I said this for a team last, and maybe in Ole Miss when I said, can't say buy low, but if it gets worse, don't sell, which again makes sense because Ole Miss took 2 or 3 from Florida. But this is the same thing with Mississippi State. Like 16, just they're not the 16th best. I get it. Like, again, I'm not trying to say like, oh, this is the wrong. They're not the 16th best team in the country. So you can't say buy low here. They're really, really good. They can play with anyone. They just played a freak of nature in Georgia and a Tennessee team that, played at their ceiling. And then you got to see versus, against South Carolina, like they're really freaking good. And this South Carolina team is playing a lot better than this isn't the same South Carolina team like it was at the beginning of the year that gave up like 22 to Arkansas on a Friday. Like it's just not the same team. So I think this sweep looks a lot better than maybe it does on paper. I mean, this is the same team that took one from Texas in the exact same location, 2 weekends ago. So again, they allowed a 514 OPS to a South Carolina. They had 44 Ks, only 8 walks without McPherson. Like, again, they're doing a lot of this without McPherson. Valencius and Stone are playing just beyond this planet right now. Valencius specifically, he may be one of, we may have briefly talked about Cole Carlone, but Valencius may be one of the top 5 lefties in D1 right now. Bevis basically coming off the bench put up a 2 OPS on the weekend. So it's just a wild team that has so much depth, and it's good to see Sullivan have a solid, productive weekend. And their bullpen had no earned runs at 9 innings pitched. You kind of look up and down, and it's like the starting pitching was good, the bullpen was elite, the hitting was really good at the top. And then the guys off the bench had a 2 OPS. Like, it's like check. So basically just like a dominant weekend. And so like when I look at this and someone says like, oh, Mississippi State 16th, like I kind of chuckle inside, But I also go like, I get it. Like it's like sometimes when you get in those Twitter battles, like with the fans, they're like, hey, like how dare you? Like, don't you know my team swept this team? Or like, oh, you don't know ball. Like you kind of just have to say like, yes, I understand. Like they lost 6 in a row at home. Like but they're good. Like that's just it. They're good.
And I think I said it 3 weeks ago. I said the more innings that this bullpen that's very young, super young arms, the more innings they get, the better they're going to be. And Jason nailed it. Like they were very good this weekend. I think they continue to get better. And then they're going to get McPherson back at some point. And then they've got 3 real starters on the weekend that makes them
holy shit
very difficult to beat.
They're going to be like Auburn. They're going to be when like 4 starters. So it's one of the things where it reminds me of almost Oregon State of 2018, where they lost that first game of Omaha to Mississippi State. And I was like, well, who gives a shit? They have plenty of pitching. Like it almost feels like the exact same thing. Like some teams are built like you have to stay on schedule. This Mississippi State team is built where if they're off schedule, they can still win.
Yeah, and they got like 14 guys on offense that they could shuffle in also. So they have dudes. Like I am high on this team, and I think that 16 is a little low on them. But I get it. Again, like you said, 6 straight losses put them in that spot. If they go sweep LSU this weekend and put LSU at 6-15, then we're talking about a whole nother ball game, and this Mississippi State team really needs to be ranked higher. But
like I'm going to contradict myself like I always do. Like I understand why they're at 16. Like don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if someone handed me $1,000 and said like who's this, like are they higher or lower than 16, I would put all of it on there much higher than 16. They are much better than 16.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to host, and it feels like they're going to be like maybe even up to 10, 12, even at the 8 if they really take care of business the rest of the season. Like that's how good this team really is. Number 15, Jason, I'm going to let you go again on this West Virginia team. They dropped 1, but this team feels like it just finds ways to win. Like there's a lot of teams that find ways to lose, like Arkansas kind of finds ways to lose. They feel like they find ways to win.
Yeah, this is going to be my patented. I have no idea what to do with this team. So they're 7-3 in their last 10. They have a strong argument to be right there on the edge of hosting, but they just keep having these odd dud games that make me like question my sanity on this team.
Yeah,
you see the Friday game versus Houston, and it's not that Houston isn't good, but Montesa just like again and again is not looking like the Montesa that we anticipated. And they've also, he went out after 2. I think he had the trainer come out. I don't know what's going on there. Don't want to speculate. No idea. Have you all heard anything on this? I haven't heard anything.
They haven't released a single thing right now.
Yeah. So, they were already down. Was it Meyer? I'm trying to remember the starting one of their Chase Meyer. I always can't remember if it's the hard A or soft A or hardy, whatever. But it's going to be a huge issue. They already have pitching depth concerns, and this could make it worse. That being said, the pitching was really good.
The pitching was great outside of Friday.
Exactly. They had a 3.4 FIP as a staff, 30 Ks over the 3 games. They allowed a 572 OPS. It kind of makes game 1 all the bit more odd. Again, like this is just where I don't understand this team. It's like every time I want to say like I want to write them off or I want to write them in, they like prove me right or they prove me wrong, and I'm very confused. Hitting side, Cresser, Guzman, Graveline, Hall, all had nice weekends. Like it's good to have that kind of depth, but I don't. Have you ever heard of something called the Sunday Scaries? It's like when it's like Sunday right before you go back to work, and you're like, oh shit, like I have to like remember that my inbox is full of stuff. I almost have the Friday Scaries sometimes with West Virginia. I'm like, what are they gonna do this weekend to like make me question my sanity? And when I look and I saw that box score, and I was like, okay, I just need to watch this full game because I don't understand this team sometimes. So that's where I'm at with them.
It felt the same way after they got 10 ran by Arizona State, and you're like, oh, these 2 teams should be equal. And then they took the next 2, and it's just I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. And but 15 feels fair. Like, and if they keep taking care of business, I think that the Big 12 gets 1 host. I don't know if they get 2. And they're right there behind Kansas right now. So if they can get that spot and get up to number 1, maybe it's them. But I do think the Big 12 gets 1 team in to host. Number 14, Nebraska up 10, our biggest mover, sweeping a USC team. Big wins for them. They now are only 3 losses in conference. Like this is a very good baseball team.
Yeah, 100%. They also have Kansas again in the midweek tomorrow, and I think that's a really good opportunity for them to split with Kansas. it's Jason's guy, but Dylan Carey is that dude. Like he is. In terms of national coverage, like nobody is talking about this kid, and man, he's sounds crazy,
Gold
but he's
Spikes.
pushing rock. He's pushing rock.
He should be. He should be in the conversation for the Golden Spike.
Yeah, he absolutely should. Like no, exactly because he plays shortstop too. It's not like he's just playing first base.
Premier position,
picks a
premier
ball
player
every now and again. His numbers are better than Vahivo Aloy's. He's like compare him to Vahivo Aloy. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Compare him to Vahivo Aloy. They're almost neck and neck right now. So the only reason he's not getting as much is because he plays in Nebraska.
I 100% agreed. Yeah, he's lighting the world on fire. He's awesome. Their pitching in terms of like their top 4 or 5 arms have been really, really good. All 4 of them. I know Jasa wasn't great, not this weekend, but the weekend before he wasn't great, but he's been really good all season, right? He's been fantastic all season. Now I'm gonna draw a little bit of a parallel to what we were just talking about with the Big 12. Like, do we really think the Big 10 gets 2 hosts? I know Nebraska is in the top 16 of RPI right now. You think they do?
Yes. I think they almost get 3.
Yeah.
I think it's really close to 3.
Really?
So
I think struggle with the committee giving the Big 10 3 hosts. Now, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I'm putting myself in the shoes of what's happened and their track record. I personally do not. I personally don't believe that the committee will give the Big 10 2. The Big 12 got 0 last year. I just throw again. Very different year, different scenarios. Agreed. I disagreed with it. However, they gave a 15-win Tennessee team the host over any Big 12 team, over the Big 12 champion, over Arizona, over TCU.
Oregon didn't host? I thought
Oregon hosted.
Yeah.
There was 2.
Big 12, not Big 10.
Big 12 had 0 though. Big 12 had 0.
Big 12 got 0.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking in terms of the track record. Like, I don't know that with the Big 12 getting a host this season, so let's just say West Virginia or Kansas hosts, I don't know that the Big 10 is going to for sure, I don't think they're going to get 3. Like, I would really struggle to believe that the committee gives them 3. 2 might be pushing it. I'll be honest. Like, 2 might. I love this Nebraska team. I think they're really, really solid. I just struggle thinking that they're going to get that many hosts. I think they should. I just don't know that they will.
Jason, it feels like you wanted to say something about I think they get 3. I honestly think it's right there at 3. I think Nebraska, if they keep playing like this, they're going to get a host. I think UCLA is a lock to host. And I think Oregon's right on the fringe. And if they can take a game from UCLA at UCLA and then sweep USC to end the season, it'd be hard for me to say they get 3.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just sort of go ahead and get one out of the way. UCLA is going to be the number 1.
They're hosting, yeah.
I mean, them, or it depends. I mean, if they could lose a series, maybe Georgia Tech or North Carolina can maybe somersault in there, but they're going to be a top 3. So it's absolutely going to be that. So then you basically are going to come down to Southern Cal, Oregon, or Nebraska. Now, Nebraska has the metrics right now to host. And then the question is, I think you just have to have a team not slip up. Now, I could see a world, Will, where all 3 of those teams just kind of go 6-3 to end the season. Does that make sense in conference play or whatever? And so then it's they just miss out and they're all those really good 2 seeds. But I think you almost have to have the coin flip heads on all 3 of them. My assumption is that you're going to have one of those kind of, one is going to push forward and the other one won't. And so, because Oregon plays Southern Cal. So you're going to have it to where, it's going to be difficult for all of them to kind of struggle because one of them has to succeed for the other to struggle. So I think if I were to put a bet on it now, I would, and this is wild to say it, but I would say UCLA, then Nebraska, then Oregon, then Southern Cal. I would not have said that.
I would agree.
I would have almost had it completely opposite previously.
2 weeks ago.
Where it was, UCLA, Southern Cal, Oregon, Nebraska. Now I have it flipped.
Yeah, I think that we're right there. I think it's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be must-watch baseball in the Big 10. You're going to have to tune in and watch these games every weekend because they're going to be huge. I mean,
unable to watch.
Can't watch Big 10 baseball because of how they've locked it down. But
I'll send you my login for Big 10 Plus. It's $10 a month. You didn't hear that, tax man.
Where's Big 10? Where's Big 10? No, don't
Yeah.
Where's Big Ten throwing us the codes? Yeah, where's that at? Number 13, Kansas. They did not move, but I just want to say taking 2 of 3 in Stillwater, it's not easy. And to be sitting at first place in the Big 12, they deserve to be in the conversation to host right now. There's a gentleman that is not getting enough love right now. Tyson LeBlanc, their shortstop, is hitting .411 in conference with 7 home runs and 21 RBIs, and he's slugging .781, and his on-base percentage is .465. He's not getting near the love that he needs to have right now for how well he has played in conference and been carrying this team. Like, everybody was all Brady Bollinger. We love Brady. Tremendous baseball player, right? What Tyson LeBlanc is doing for this Kansas team right now is insanity, and he is carrying them offensively. It seems like every time he steps up, it's another opportunity for him to home run. He has 15 on the season now, and he gets up in these big situations, and he keeps coming through clutch. Another guy's been coming up clutch. We had him on the show last week, Jordan Bach. Unbelievable. These guys just seem to find their way into these positions where they need a hit, and one of these guys steps up. Bach had the huge two RBI double there late in that third game against Oklahoma State. Massive. I like where Kansas is going, and the fact is that they're starting to get some pitching, especially in conference. Don Vegley is vintage. I mean, 15 strikeouts in 7 innings and allowing just 3 hits. Now, he gave up the 3 runs. Again, Oklahoma State, you can hit home runs out of that ballpark really easily.
Sneeze on a ball.
I mean, the wind was blowing 15 miles an hour out to left. But he threw 15 strikeouts is no joke in 7 innings, and he was electric. He has all the stuff working in. He's lowering his ERA every single week. It feels like he's getting better as the season goes on. And then they have the bullpen guys that have just been really, really good. Bodie Ron, like, they have guys that are coming out of the bullpen right now. Brian Ritter, like, they have dudes that are going to come out of the bullpen and really shut down teams. So I like Kansas. I think that they have all the opportunities in front of them. If they go take care of business, this is a team that wins the conference and gets to host. And it would be unbelievable to host at Hogland. Like, that would be just freaking rad, because that stadium would be insanity. I love it.
So we have a Kansas fan that's reaching out to us, letting us know that KU, this was their first win in Stillwater since 1994. But KU may also have earned its first ever series win in OSU in Stillwater. Wait, no, it's the first ever series win in their 105 years.
Ever in Stillwater? Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the text message, but we're getting that from a Kansas fan right now.
I love it. I'm really high. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to take 2 or 3. I thought it was going to be a really tough weekend to take 2 or 3, especially with how Oklahoma State was surging, and they did it. And it was on the back of Don Vegley really coming out there and shutting down an Oklahoma State team that had been on fire on that second Saturday start. So good to see them right there at 13. Number 12, Oregon. Jason, I'm going to let you take this one. I usually take this Oregon Duck team, but I want another perspective. I think that this team is interesting.
Yeah. So let me just say something here. Oregon scored 40 runs this weekend, and it felt like a bad weekend.
And it felt bad.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, from a metric standpoint, like you almost would want to say, like, hey, in order for you to sweep, in order for you to host, you need to sweep Illinois. Like, it's almost like they came out of the weekend scoring 40 runs and then saying, like, well, we left some meat on the bone. And you look at them statistically, like, there are not many teams who match up with them. They're near 1 team OPS. They're a 400-plus WOBA team. They're near 11K per 9 on the season. So, I mean, they have kind of like everything that you would want kind of from like a well-rounded standpoint. But it just feels like they're almost like very similar for me for West Virginia. Every time I want to put them on autopilot, I get like a 16-13 loss to Illinois. They need to get back Scolari. Do we have any info on Scolari? Cal Scolari, our transfer portal extraordinaire pitcher. Where's he at?
I'll be down there on Saturday. I'm going to try to get more info and see if he's going to throw. I don't think he throws this week, though.
Ask Woes.
I will.
But other than Liberty, the DBU game, probably the game of the week was the Saturday, which had the walk-off bomb. So even though they got back, they got down, they lost, they did come back from that big deficit. So all in all, they had 5 guys above a 1.2 OPS, including Maddox Maloney.
Maddox Maloney, welcome back.
Yes, 6 or 4 extra base hits. It was either 4 or 6. I can't remember. He had a lot of extra base hits on the weekend. So I think you look at it and you say, as insane as his opportunity loss, but still successful weekend. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and I think that they're having more guys step up. And I kept saying, if he gets healthy, if Maddox Maloney gets healthy and gets right, this team can go. And then they're getting Lauke Jr. like hitting balls 500 feet. Like that is an unbelievable addition to this team. Like
twice. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
You saw it twice.
The one
his first
looked like
one
he
was
was hitting a driver. I don't know how he hit it from that low to 24 degrees and 497 feet.
I sent you guys that text. I was like, I feel like there's an issue. But then I reached out to him. There was like 20-mile-per-hour wind blowing out. So there was some aid assistance like in that. But I don't know if you saw his second bomb, I think was 480.
Yeah.
So he hit two, like if this was in the pros, these would be like top 10 distance shots on a year in the same game. So yeah, pretty damn good for him.
He hit him into the graveyard across the street, across the highway from the stadium. It could have killed a grieving person. That's how hard that ball was hit.
Morbid shit. But yes.
They had to go get that ball. It had ectoplasm on it. It was hit so hard into the graveyard.
I mean, I don't know if
I was impressed.
every other person had like a 430 bomb. That was a ridiculous game. I mean, that it felt like that Friday. I was like, I had my like quad screens up, and I would just see what looked like it was the Kansas game. It looked like some of these like inside out swings where it's like, oh, that guy just got jammed, and the shit was like going into like the 10th row in right field. I'm like, what is going on with the balls right now? Yeah, no, there were some juiced balls for sure. Over this weekend, and no more juiced than that Saturday or that Friday game in Illinois.
Oh, great baseball there. Oregon at 12 here. Big weekends coming up here. They got Penn State at home. I'll be there on Saturday. So see all you Oregon Duck fans in the stands. I'll also be down in Corvallis on Friday and Sunday for the Hawaii series, which I know Will is very jealous about. So I won't hold it over much. Number 11, Coastal Carolina up 3. Will, this team continues to win. Like they did drop one, but they just keep winning. And now the good news is that it sounds like as early as next week, they might be getting their ace back.
Yeah. When he's back, I mean, this is a completely different team. You know, I've talked about it. I don't know, feels like every week, but I know I've talked about it before. Like Ross Norman hasn't quite been what I believe we thought he was going to be. And he's still got near the 6.5 ERA. Not as many strikeouts as initially anticipated. Hitters hitting 300 against him. Like just not what you thought, right? When you saw the stuff in the fall, like this kid's gonna carve. Darren Horn, however, been absurd out of the bullpen. One of the better arms. 40 innings, 58 strikeouts, 5 saves. Luke Jones has been really good as a starter as well. 43 punchouts, 18 walks. When you get Cam Flukie back, right, like it changes everything. It really does. I will say, I have some concern. This is the hard stretch of their schedule. I know they don't play Southern Miss or anything, but this is the tough part of their schedule. They've got Texas State, they've got Georgia Southern, and then they've got Louisiana to finish the year. You know, Old Dominion sprinkled in, no shade to them, but this is really the tougher part of their schedule. And it feels like at the beginning, right, they were struggling with the Marshalls of the world and finding ways to win, and they were sweeping. Now they're dropping that one game, right? They're not finding the way to win all 3 games. So they dropped the one against South Alabama. They dropped the one against Arkansas State. Again, very solid teams. They lost one against Georgia State. Lost in the midweek last week to Wake. Wake kind of beat up on them. And they've got some tough midweeks coming up as well. Like they've got Wilmington. They've got UNC. They've got Clemson. So they have some tough games for sure. Cam Flukie changes their whole entire weekend outlook. But, I mean, to me, it feels like one slip up is going to really hurt this team. I know the RPI is really good, but one slip up I feel like is going to hurt this team. Obviously, that Ole Miss win now looks a lot better, but they still have the loss to NC State. You have a loss to UTSA. You have got the loss to Texas. You've got the loss to Illinois all early on in that first couple of weeks. That a Sun Belt slip up hurts this team a lot. Whereas, like I think Southern Miss, you know, can weather it. I don't think Coastal can as well, just based on who they played in conference.
Yeah, I think that's a big point there is that their non-conference it's okay, and their conference schedule is not good. Like that's the thing is that their conference schedule doesn't help boost their RPI at all. So they need to win every series, preferably sweeps, but they can win them and be fine. And especially if they go out and win the Sun Belt tournament, then you're talking about a host team. And if they get, Cam Flukie back at 100%, which is why he's going to go now, Something this weekend,
Changes
we don't know
everything.
what he's going to throw. But, I mean, honestly, if he can get back to 7 innings on Friday before tournament time, that's a very dangerous team, and you don't want to go play. You don't want to play in Conway. It's not fun. It's not going to be good base. It's not going to be fun baseball for you to have to go play in Conway and see Cam Fluky on a Friday night. Like, that's not your favorite thing to do. So, looking forward to seeing Cam get back. I mean, we've all been waiting to see him pitch again this year. Very excited. The other news is that, of course, we've talked about Hayden Johnson will not be back this year. He just had season-ending surgery. He will be back in the teal and black next season for Coastal Carolina. By all measures, he will not be going to the draft this year now. Number 10, Virginia, sitting at 12-9 in conference. They've got a schedule in front of them that says they could be a host team. The teams that they play coming up is at Pitt, and then they get at home against Cal, and then they get at Louisville. If they can go win 4 games, all of a sudden they're at 16. But if they win 5 of those next 9 games in conference, they're at 17 wins in ACC. Keeps them in the host conversation. They have a good RPI. They have enough talent. My concerns are still the pitching. I still have big concerns on their starting pitching. I don't know if they have enough starting pitching to be at that elite level, but the hitting is there. They have the hitting to compete with anybody in the country, especially how hot they've been lately. I think that they go take care of business here. I think at Pitt, where Pitt's kind of going the wrong direction. Cal's been tough, but they get Cal at home. And then at Louisville, who's just had a disaster of a season. Like, I feel like there's 5 easy wins in there for this Virginia team. Even 4 wins puts them in that conversation, where 16 wins in ACC, they're still in that conversation to host. So I like where Virginia's going. I don't know if they're going to be able to play their way into a national seed with the teams that are in front of them without winning 8 or 9 of those games, honestly, because they're just not going to boost their RPI that much. But I like this Virginia team. I just still have big concerns about their starting pitching. They've had enough. I just have concerns that they're not going to be, at that elite level when it comes tournament time to face somebody. So I think they're going to be one of those 1 seeds that people are like, hey, we don't mind them being the 1 seed if we're going to go there. The 2 seed's going to be kind of excited about that, because outside of Friday, the pitching gets a little thin for Virginia. Like Saturday, all of a sudden, they're a little thinner on Saturday, especially if they have to go early to the bullpen on Friday. Number 9, Florida State. Well, no movement again. Like, we just have these teams that are just kind of sitting where they were. They just took care of business. It was good for Florida State to get back out there and sweeping Notre Dame and effectively ending Notre Dame's chances of making the tournament.
Yeah, it was a really nice bounce back after the Georgia Tech series. I think you got to be really happy with that, getting a sweep. I think the best way I can put it with Florida State right now, especially given the rest of their ACC schedule, they've got Stanford, they've got Pitt, they've got Clemson, who's in the basement of the ACC right now, and they finish with Miami. I mean, they've got a good opportunity to go win 8 to 9 games of the next 4 series. I think it's more so, what is this team in a real postseason setting without Miles Bailey? I really think that's kind of how you have to look at Florida State right now, because the offense is struggling with certain pieces. Like, Cal Fisher has cooled off a ton from what, he was kind of lighting it up early. I think with the shortened lineup, a lot of guys are now being more so like, the best way I can put it is like, there's a lot more pressure on guys that maybe could ease back and just kind of mash when, you got the big circles around Miles Bailey in your lineup every day. I mean, I still believe they're going to host. Like, you have they did enough early on prior to the injury, right? Like, you have the big series win against Virginia. I know you lost to Georgia Tech, but they've done more than enough. I think this team is going to host pending like an extreme meltdown against a couple of these teams over the next couple of weeks. But the way that I see them is they're kind of a gettable host. Like, if you're a 2 seed that goes into Tallahassee, this is a gettable host. I think this is probably the one you want to draw.
Right?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, I think that's like, if you're a 2 seed and you're going to be kind of middle of the pack, you're kind of hoping you go to Charlottesville or Tallahassee. Now, granted, Wes Mendez has been unbelievable. Bryson Moore has been unbelievable. Trey Beard, a little bit of a roller coaster, but when he's on, he's really freaking good. The pitching for them is kind of the big thing that you got to circle, right? Like, I don't know what the offense is anymore without Bailey, but like, John Abraham out of the bullpen's been absurd. They've got 3 really solid starters. I'm just looking at Florida State more in the regional outlook more than the rest of the season, quite honestly. I think they're going to hover right around this 10 range the rest of the way based on what I see on paper.
I feel like it would take a big jump for them to get back into that national host conversation with no Miles Bailey and not really like. I want to say Stutzer's been unbelievable for them. Like he has stepped up and been a big part of this offense and kind of kept them rolling. He's not Miles Bailey. We love him. He's not Miles Bailey. Like he's not covering all of that slugging. He's not carrying all that OPS. Like he's doing a lot, but he needs some help. Guys like Cal Fisher, Braden Dowd, like some of these guys have got to step up. Some of these leaders on this team have really got to be better at the plate and give them more opportunities. Do I think they could do it? I do. I think that Carnes has been better. I think that they have some guys going the right direction. But this Florida State team needs to find themselves more offensively. And I think that this weekend was good. It wasn't great, but they did take care of business and get the sweep. And I think that's what you have to do. That's what good teams do. They go out and they beat teams like Notre Dame that are struggling. Number 8, Jason, is Auburn. And they didn't move either, even with the 2 games at home win. And this team has looked really, really good. I don't see a way where Auburn is not just squarely in that host conversation and national seed. Like this is a very good Auburn team. I like where they're at.
Yep. Hashtag good at ball. Hashtag I told you. We've had a lot of conversations about like really good pitching staffs. Texas has an elite rotation, Oregon State, Ole Miss, and Florida State. But I think you could make a very strong argument right now that Auburn has the best pitching staff in the country. They lead the country in walks per 9. They lead the country in WHIP. They have an over an 11 K per 9. Marciano, Petrovic, Sanders, Alvarez. Those are probably the top 1 through 4 of any team in the country. And Sanders, who is kind of like in that funky 4th starter, I guess you could call him. I mean, he's basically, it's like whenever they're getting kind of in this like a bridge point, they just hand him the ball and he goes like 4 innings of no hit ball. Basically, it is such a deep pitching staff right now that unless you're winning a game 3-2, you're not going to win many games. Now they still haven't even reached their ceiling offensively. McCrane and Bingaman, they were good this weekend, but Fralick, Terrell, and Rembert, like they just haven't been there. Like you keep waiting for Fralick to kind of like. I mean, we were talking about with Natili with being like one of the top catchers at the beginning of the season. Fralick was another one of those guys. It was like, hey, one of the top. He just really hasn't been there yet. Like he's been good, but he just hasn't been like that top like you expected him. And same with Terrell, same with Rembert. Like they haven't reached their ceilings, and they did all of this without Bristol Carter not being able there. So still taking 2 of 3. Very similarly, I haven't heard a lot on Bristol Carter. I think he's dealing with like pectoral, some sort of upper musculature issue. Honestly, not 100% sure. Don't want to speculate, but I know he wouldn't play. So, they're basically every computer metric, they're in the top 10, and they have 1 million Q1 games remaining. So I know we talked about Ole Miss's schedule, but we looked at Auburn's. Like they're already number 1 right now. And now then they've got midweeks versus Jacksonville State and UAB, both at both locations. So 2 mid-majors who are really coming on this year. Then they play, who else do they play? They play Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, at Mississippi State, and Georgia. Their easiest game is like a in-state rivalry versus Samford. And that is a big game for Samford because like Lucas Steele is a really good example of guys that kind of make that jump from Samford. So Samford wants to win that game. So they have a very, very, so not only are they the number 1 overall strength of schedule right now, they're probably going to stay there. Even though Ole Miss like has a crazy schedule, I don't see any way. They're going to end up. So right now they've got 16 Q1 games. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They could end up with the last 15. 30 Q1 games. Yeah. 30 Q1 games. That is stupid silly. So everything is pointing to this team is probably going to be if they can just stay 500, as crazy as that is to say, their RPI shouldn't really move that much. We have them projected final RPI anyway from 1 to 13 because their schedule is so freaking good that if they do well, there could be a situation where they could go in as the number 1 overall seed, as crazy as that is to say.
It feels like a little bit like Vandy last year, where if they made that run late, if this Auburn team wins those games late, there'd be no conversation that you'd have to put them at number 1 or close to it. Probably UCLA still, but you could see them being 2. Like it wouldn't be.
Could you imagine if they're 20-10 in Q1 games?
Q1 games, and the stretch here down. If they won 7 of those 12 games in conference against those teams, like.
Yeah, that would be very, very difficult because I mean they're 10-0 in Q3, Q4, so literally their schedule, they're going to have 43 games, Q1, Q2, 43.
43 out of 56. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I like this Auburn team. I think that moving forward, they're a lock for a top 16. I think that they're a lock for a host. Like it's just that's how good this team is. Number 7, Oregon State. Now, Oregon State drops 3. They dropped the Friday night game 2-1. Negretti, hats off, man. Threw a complete game against this Oregon State team. Only allowed 3 hits, 1 extra base hit. Oregon State only had about 4 innings of offense. Honestly, when you looked at it over the weekend. Those people that were box score watching, like, oh, hey, they won these 2 games pretty handily on Saturday, Sunday. It wasn't the case. They really didn't handle those games very well. And this is a good Cal State Fullerton team. This is not a great Cal State Fullerton team. This is not even a top 80 Cal State Fullerton team. And this was at Goss Stadium. Now, they're dealing with some other issues that are going around the house. Like they're having some issues with one of their young players, Tyler Bellaros, who we talked about already. Healing, there's no news from there, so we're not going to be able to share anything today. But that's a lot on the players and team and coaching staff and just everybody in Corvallis. So thoughts are with that young man, but it has taken a toll on Oregon State. And I hope that they can go out and remember that baseball can be fun and you can do things the right way and have fun playing baseball. They have another series this weekend at home, and they play Oregon at home on Wednesday. That could be some of the get right stuff, like playing Oregon, playing your in-state rival on Wednesday at home, and then you get Hawaii the rest of the weekend. So looking forward to that for Oregon State. I want to see more offense. I want to see more consistency, but they don't play a weekend series against a top 100 team the rest of the season. But also them, Coastal Carolina, and UCLA are the only 3 teams who haven't lost a single weekend series all year. So when you look at it overall, that's why they're here at number 7. I think that they continue to stay in that national seed conversation, but they really need to go out there and win a bunch of games. They probably can't get to 11 losses. I think 10 is the maximum they could be at. I think 46-10 would keep them, which means just 2 more losses the rest of the way. Taking a look at our next team, number 6, Georgia Tech. Will down 4. Not a great weekend for them, but they did salvage it with the Sunday win. But the offense was kind of absent against a really good UNC pitching staff.
Yeah, I think speaks more to UNC's pitching staff more so. Like eventually, right? Like they're not going to go score 15 runs every single game of the season. They ran into a buzzsaw that is the Tar Heels pitching staff. The drop of 4 spots, I know, like to me, like feels a little bit aggressive. To me, like the only red flag was Saturday, really. I mean, they gave up a lot of hits over the course of the weekend. UNC averaged 10 hits a game, 7 runs a game. But really, it was just a Saturday, right? Saturday got out of hand really quick, and UNC just put it on them, and you got to give a ton of credit to UNC for that. I mean, Georgia Tech, in my opinion, anywhere from 3 to 5 is what this team really is, right? Like one weekend doesn't really tell the full story. They got some good baseball ahead. Like they've got Wake still. They've got Duke still, and they end with bird ball. So some good opportunities for Georgia Tech, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that this team finish at 3 again, right? Like this is in my opinion, it still is kind of like Georgia Tech, UCLA, Georgia, Mississippi State, Carolina, Texas, and everybody else. It's like those are my top 6. So really, really good team. I feel like it's more of just it's how the weekend went for them. As why they're 6, not necessarily that's the team, that's the spot they are or should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of how it played out. That losing the series while these other teams won, like that's kind of how it went. I mean, that's just kind of the way this one went. And we said there wasn't a lot of movement in the top 16 because there wasn't, because a lot of these teams took care of business. It was a different week than we've had the last few weeks where everybody in the top 16's lost. And then this week it was like everybody won. They all took care of business. You know, the only team that didn't was USC, and they got replaced by Nebraska basically. So that was kind of the flip-flop in there for that one. So I think that it's fair to have them here. I still think that they are in that national seed conversation. They probably should be. They're one of the best teams in the country by far. Number 5, Texas, up 1, taking care of business. Jason at home, 2 of 3 against Alabama. Could have won all 3 games, but really just another solid showing from this Texas team.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is putting together a remarkably good season. That, ironically, I feel like is a bit behind the scenes. Everyone's been talking about Georgia and Georgia Tech and UCLA, and you kind of just take a step back and you look at what Texas is doing, and they're putting up pretty remarkable numbers across the board. So really, the only thing you weren't maybe too thrilled about was seeing hitting only about a 756 OPS on the weekend. Pack was really, really good with a near 1.5 OPS. And then Tenney and Robbins, it's great to see them putting up some good numbers. But A-Rod came back and he kind of looked like a guy who had some time off. You look at like Becerra and Mendoza and Borba, they were pretty sleepy on the weekend. And one of the things that I was kind of trying to figure out what was going to happen with this Texas team is what are they going to do like in an 8-9, that eighth or ninth guy? And I think you're starting to see that a little bit with Larson and Duplantier and Livingston. Like who is going to step up and try to like grab a hold of that? And none of them really seem to be able to do it. So they were able to take this series, but it was closer because the fact that they just really couldn't rub together a lot of hits. They got some big swings that put up some crooked numbers, but they really weren't able to back up the just absolute dominance that their pitching sets. I mean, they had a 0.7 FIP. They had a below 1 WHIP as a team. Now, part of that is Alabama's offense has really been struggling, but also it's going up against an offense with a lot of talent. So again, I just talked about how good Auburn's pitching staff is. When you've got Harrison, when you've got Volantis, when you've got Rio Haas, like all in double-digit K numbers on a weekend, it's going to be really, really hard to beat. And you're seeing now why Volantis is never going to leave that Friday night spot. And I know Schloss mentioned it after the fact, like, hey, he's there, and it makes sense.
Friday.
Yeah, you saw it in that Texas A&M series. Like he never pitched. He didn't pitch a game. He just never pitched. And I get it. It's because he was going to go on Sunday, but it's kind of one of those things like you don't want to lose a series before your best player plays. And that's effectively what happened with Texas A&M. So like pitch your guy on a Friday or Saturday when even if you lose one of those two games, you're still technically in it. So I can't say enough good things about this Texas team, but I still feel as though they're trying to figure out those last few pieces. That'd probably be the best way for me to put it.
They still haven't reached their ceiling, and that's kind of scary to me. Is that there's still more for this team to be better, and
100%.
That's scary. Like that's a really scary thought to be like, oh, there's still room for Texas to be better, and they're sitting here at number 5 already. Like that's a very good team.
Yeah, Mendoza, Rodriguez, Duplantier, Larson, Livingston, those guys had 5 hits combined.
Yeah.
So they had holes, and it just didn't really seem to matter. I mean, they could have swept it, and they were going up against a really good team who had just gotten swept and was trying to show that they were still a good team. Yeah. So there's some teams that dominate and that's how they win, and then there's some teams who like even when they're not dominant they can win, and so that's a great sign to see for Texas.
Yeah, that combination of Dylan Volantis and Sam Cozart on Fridays is going to be just filthy. I don't know how you scratch across 3 runs against that combination on Fridays. Like I don't see how you're going to score runs against how good those two guys have been. And Cozart may be just like the unsung hero of how good that this pitching staff has been. Like, yes, praise Volantis. Cozart, the freshman, has been unbelievable for them coming out of the bullpen. And now that they have that combo on Fridays, look out. Number 4, Texas A&M. Jason, you again, like sweeping LSU at the box. That's not ever easy to do. They went in and made it look pretty easy. They looked like the better team the entire 27 innings.
So we've started doing win probabilities for games. At no point in any of the innings did LSU ever have a probability of winning any of the games. That's what it was. 0 for 27. So they started out each about like 30 to 40% win percentage for LSU. It never got above 50%. So effectively, from the word go to the word end, it was a dominant performance. And this is going up against an LSU team, that came into it at what, like 6 and was it 6 and 9?
6 and 9.
Well, yeah, 6 and 9. Horrible math for myself. And so they're basically saying like, hey, we're 6 and 9. We're right there, kind of like that 70, 80 RPI. If we can beat a good team at home, our RPI is going to skyrocket. Basically what happened with Arkansas and Alabama. Like Arkansas was in a very similar spot. They were like 50, 60 in their RPI. They swept Alabama. They skyrocketed up to 30 RPI. Now they kind of look like they're in it. So this was a huge series for LSU, and they got the doors blown off of them. So I honestly
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about this team. They have 5 of their starters above a 1.0 OPS, led by Hakopian, who again is like really producing for them. A lot of home runs. They hit 7 as a team. They had a 850 OPS. They had a 2 ERAs a squad, 3.1 FIP, just above a 1 WHIP. So pretty much everything you look at, you're like, check, 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 check. Very similar to what we were talking about with Mississippi State. So it's one of those that you go into it with a game plan and they just kind of like take advantage of it. And I think I feel like I had this conversation 2 weeks ago where I was trying to stop myself from saying like this was one of the best offenses in the country. Like I get what Georgia did, and we're probably about to just talk about it. But I think this Texas A&M is right there on that same. And I know what Georgia Tech is, and I know how good Georgia Tech is. But I know UCLA, like, and I can just feel all these fans yelling at me on Twitter. But I'm telling you, like, Texas A&M is for real offensively. They are 90. They've got a 1.35 OPS, team OPS. They have a 447 team WOBA. They score 10 runs a game. I mean, it's silly what this team is doing right now. The interesting thing is they're pretty much like around like 5th in the computer consensus. So I mean, I given the fact that they only have 3 non Q1 games remaining for their season, they don't have any bad losses. They are what is that, 26-1 in Q2 through Q4 games. So they're basically winning every game they should. And then they just have some games in like some of those bigger ones where they just really haven't been able to put it away. Their one loss that's not a Q1 was at Texas State. That's it.
Yeah.
That's their worst loss of the season. It's not even really a bad loss. So like I love everything about this Texas A&M team. I was texting one of their coaches because I saw Jorian Wilson in fall, and he came in like the 9th or 8th. It was later, and I got there before the game started, and I was watching batting practice. I was like, Jesus, who is this guy? Because he is like a physical specimen. Like he looks like a tight end, like a football tight end, and just really beautiful left-handed swing. And I sent him a message because I didn't have like their rosters. I was just kind of there watching, having a good time. I was like, dude, I have no idea who this guy is, but he looks like an absolute freak. And he's like, oh, that's Jorian Wilson. If he puts it together, look out. And so it's really neat to see like him go in there, have like a really nice weekend for them with a couple of bombs in Baton Rouge. So, I mean, again, it kind of feels like they've just got whoever they want to plug and play into position there, they're going to go in and produce for them.
I really like this Texas A&M team. I've been really high on them. As you know, I picked them to be my dark horse to win this thing, which is wild that I still don't have a Texas A&M hat here with how much positivity I talk about them. I need to find one here soon. But this Texas A&M squad is really,
I'll have
really
the
good.
coaching staff reach out to you and be like,
this,
hey,
this Texas A&M team, so good. It's crazy when you look at it and you go, Gavin Grahovic may be their 3rd or 4th best hitter right now. And he's been really, really good lately. It's pretty dangerous. It's real dangerous. Number 3, another great offense, Georgia. Will, this Georgia offense is scary. And like you said all year, if Aoki continues what he does out of the pen, this is a national seed team.
Yeah. Hashtag wagon is the dogs. I mean, really, really good. And they do have it. They've got a tough schedule, right? I mean, Ole Miss in Oxford next weekend. I know they've got kind of the bye week with Mizzou, and as crazy it is to say, like, might be a bye week with LSU, but then they finish with Auburn at Auburn. So, like, 2 tough road series out of the next 4 weeks. But I think it's kind of for them, it's like, can you solidify that you're a legit contender, right? Like, I think they are. I truly think this team is ridiculous. I did see a stat today, and there's been some discourse on Twitter, and I would like to talk about it with the dogs because it's really I don't have much to say about what they're doing on the field. They're just handling business. So their strategy the last I'll say 4 weeks has kind of been, let's piece together Sundays and see what happens. It's kind of been like pitch by committee, and a lot of people have been kind of beating the drum that Caden Aoki should be in the rotation. And while I would love to see him in the rotation, I think it's deserved. The 2.68 ERA, 54 punch outs in 40 innings. Like, he's been unbelievable, right? Like, and he's just spinning teams to death out of the bullpen. However, when you look at the way that they've set up their pitching, he's kind of been this long relief guy on Fridays and or Saturdays, depending on if he's coming in after Volchko or Vigil, just wherever he slots in, right? But those are guys with the high ride fastballs, and then you're bringing in Aoki, who's just spinning teams to death. Like, there's a lot of thought behind what Wes Johnson is doing in terms of the pitching structure. And I know they haven't gotten large innings from their Sunday starters, but it's kind of by design. Like, they've been pitching openers on Sunday. They're not really throwing guys that are built to go 7 innings. I think in a regional setting, Aoki will get a start. I think there's no doubt about it. But the way that they're structuring weekends is kind of genius. They're kind of saying, like, let's throw the chips on the table, go get Friday, Saturday, and kind of leaving it open so that if Aoki does need to throw Friday, he can come back Sunday if they need him to. And that's kind of the role that he's been playing. And it's genius for the regular season, right? Like, you're just looking for series wins. Like, they really are just looking for series wins. He's been excellent out of the bullpen. I think he gets a start in a regional, but I'm hard-pressed to believe that Wes Johnson isn't starting him because he doesn't believe he's earned the opportunity. Like, it's well thought out that Caden Aoki is in the role that he's in right now. Again, a guy that I picked as SEC Pitcher of the Year. Like, I saw sky is the limit under Wes Johnson for this kid, but he's been so good out of the bullpen, and why would you change that? I mean, he's got 3 saves. He's got 11 appearances. I know he's got the 2 starts, but he's a guy that in the postseason likely gets a start, but you love the role that he's in currently.
Yeah, I think that you don't change it. Why? I mean, you have a high leverage arm that you can just say, we're going to go to you when we need it. Like Jason said, take his time to warm up in that game. He comes in the 3rd inning and just shuts it down. Like, why not just save that guy for when you need him on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday? Like, and he'll throw twice in a weekend if he has to. Same as Matt Scott. Like, they have a couple of high leverage, high quality arms that they can just go pull out of the bullpen and say, we need you for 4 innings. We can have you go here and we don't have to throw you the rest of the weekend, or I can throw you again another day.
And when you have that offense, you can almost take the gamble of, like, we're going to set up our pitching Friday, Saturday, really go for 2 wins, and we're just going to see if we can outslug you on Sunday. Like, and if we do, we do, and if we don't, we don't. We got 2 wins anyways, right? So I think it's very well thought out. I don't think it has anything to do with Aoki not getting that opportunity. I think he's going to get plenty of postseason starts. Like, I think he's at least going to start at least 1 game in a regional. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts a game 3 in a super. If they get to Omaha, again, he'll probably start at least 1, if not 2 games.
I agree. I think that they have just so much arm talent, so much bat talent. They're a high talented team. I think that this is a national seed no matter what happens. They're sitting number 1 in the SEC, no doubt here where they deserve to be. Number 3 or higher. Like, I voted them still number 2. I still think they're the 2nd best team in the country. But number 2 is UNC. And you know what? I'd said I didn't have much faith in them being able to pitch their way through that Georgia Tech series. That's exactly what they did. And Caden Glauber and Walker McDuffie, hats off, man. Those 2 guys out of the bullpen are electric. They have so much arms in this ridiculous bullpen, and what they have as starters. I mean, Jason DeCaro, Ryan Lynch, Folger Boaz. Folger Boaz hasn't even been great this year. And the fact is that they have so many bullpen arms that they can just go to these guys. Jackson Rose, they just have so many guys that they can turn to and say, hey, we need an inning here. We need you to go out there and throw 6. Caden Glauber has been the story of this whole team. Like, and the fact is Walker McDuffie has 22 appearances this year out of the pen for what this North Carolina team is. I have concerns offensively. They only have 15 home runs in conference. I have concerns that they don't be able to drive the ball out of the ballpark, but on the flip side of that coin is you look at it and they're still at like an 0.88 ODOT. Like, they still hit. They still can hit. They're just not hitting home runs. And I have concerns about that. Owen Hull has the biggest majority of their RBIs. Nobody else really is even over 15, while he's got 28 in conference. And he's been unbelievable. And he's hitting 460. And you got the guys like Jake Schaffner's hitting 430. But I have concerns about the offense. But overall, this team deserves to be here. They're a top 5 team. Their schedule plays out really pretty easy the rest of the season. They have Duke. They have Pitt. They have NC State. Like, this feels like an easy top 8 seed, if not even a top 4 team. So hats off to North Carolina. Beating Georgia Tech, shutting down that lineup was huge. And I don't think a lot of us, I mean, nobody really picked North Carolina to go out there and do this to that Georgia Tech lineup. I think people thought that they might hold them down for a game, whatever game was, I think a lot of people thought maybe the Friday with DeCaro and Glauber and McDuffie, and they used all three of those guys. And then to come back and do it again on Saturday was like, oh, light on. This is the moment where you say this is the top 8 national seed. And I was very impressed by that pitching staff shutting down that team and going out and hitting. They hit too. I mean, yeah, they only scored 2 runs on Sunday, but they scored a lot on Saturday. And I think I was impressed by that overall. So big there for UNC. Definitely Scott Forbes and crew. Unbelievable home win, taking 2 of 3 from what could have been in any other year other than this year, been the number 1 team in the country. Speaking of number 1, Jason, it's UCLA. Still holding on. They have not lost a conference game. I mean, I don't know if they do lose one until they play Oregon, and I don't even know if they lose one to Oregon, honestly. That's how good this team has been.
Yeah, no more ridiculous analogies from me. I mean, the only thing that I would say for this one is it was a little sleepy of a weekend. Now, Minnesota has a good team. Like Minnesota's, like they've got some talent, and really, game 2, I think it was the top of or it's either the top or the bottom of the 6th. It kind of looked like Minnesota may try to steal one from them.
Yeah.
So I think it was one of those weekends where you got out of it, you won it, but then you kind of, I mean, we were talking about with Mississippi State where everything looks phenomenal. It really doesn't get much better than what UCLA is doing right now. I mean, you look at OPS, WOBA, runs per game, FIP, WHIP, K per 9, walk per 9. Your weighted runs created. Everything is above 90th percentile. Everything. They really just don't have like a weak link. I mean, they're plus 30 in their last 10, and that includes their only loss in the past like 30 games.
Or they got shut out.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of one of the things where it's like they're just absolutely dominating right now. And they've got one Q1 game remaining, and it's a midweek, and that's at UC Santa Barbara. So I don't know. They're gonna want revenge for that one. That's for sure.
They're gonna beat the doors off UC Santa Barbara, I would imagine.
I mean, I don't know. That was a really good game. I don't know if y'all. Of course, y'all watched it. Everyone watched it. Who was it? Started with a reliever for UCSB. It's like Taika or Taigi. I started with a T. Sorry, I can't remember it. He looked absolutely disgusting. The lefty who was throwing like that sweeper and like a low 90s fastball. They couldn't touch him. That was nasty. Peyton Brennan was going up against him. It was like a 3-1 count, and it's like he was trying to anticipate the sweeper, and he swung at a clear ball 4, and he took like an offensive timeout, like was talking to himself, and then just stared down a fastball middle. There's some serious arm talent for UCSB, but I agree. I think there's going to be some revenge going on there. At the end of the day, they're really freaking good. I mean, there's not a lot to say about them, and I think it's going to be really hard pressed to find a loss for them. I mean, I said that 2 weeks ago, and then they went and lost like immediately.
Lost the next game after we talked.
Again, like listen to nothing I say, but also nothing I say as well. So again, like I don't know. I think they're really, really good. We have them. They're 1 overall in everything: RPI, DSR, Massey, ELO, us. Like basically any computer system that pretends to be a computer ranking has them number 1. So they're dominating right now. They're 20-0 in conference. There's not a lot more else to say.
It feels like there's no way they even get to double-digit losses by Omaha. Like it feels like this team's going to go to Omaha without even hitting double-digit losses. So that's how good this team is, and I look forward to seeing them. And I'm going to see them the last week of the season up in Seattle. So I'm excited for that one. Final thoughts, boys. We had a long show, but we always want to talk everything about all these teams. It's very exciting to get to talk baseball every Monday. It's a long show. I'm glad you guys join us. Will, any final thoughts? I see is that a Wisconsin sweater?
Wisconsin hockey shirt. Yeah, they don't play baseball, so this is the next best thing.
Milwaukee's the only team.
Correct. Yeah, technically in the backyard. Wouldn't say it's super close, but it's definitely not far. Just want to give a quick shout out to our guy Bradley Garner. Ran the Boston Marathon today in the middle of the season, so they wrapped up their season series yesterday. He flew in, got in at midnight, ran the Boston Marathon today, and play midweek tomorrow, which he will be in attendance and in the lineup for. So just electric out of the kid. Got to sit down with him a couple of weeks ago and film some stuff with him that'll be coming out late this week. So just want to give a shout out to him because that's just unbelievable to do in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Kudos to Bradley Garner and the cadets for allowing that to happen and making it a big deal. I mean, Alzheimer's is a scary disease, and I'm glad that he was able to go do this run and be a part of raising some money for this and doing a really incredible thing. Running a marathon's hard. I don't think I've run 26.2 miles since I quit baseball 20 years ago. So I don't think I could go out there and run 26.2 today. Jason, any final thoughts?
I just want to say that Bradley Garner is a part of my fantasy baseball team that we created over the summer. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course I remember that.
Yes.
Not only did I recognize that he was going to have a near 1.0 PS on the season, I knew that he was going to be running a marathon. So a lot of forethought has happened with me, and it's just really nice to see, kind of all of these thoughts coming to fruition. I don't have anything really else to say. We're 2 hours in. My brain is absolute mush. I feel like we were talking, and what was the Will Ferrell where he's like, I blacked out. I don't know what I said. I feel like I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Debating with the Raging Cajun. He's like,
yeah,
I blacked out. What did I say?
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I'm ready to go. Let's call it.
All right. Thanks, folks, for joining us again here live. We'll be here live again on Wednesday night for the live show and Saturday morning for the live show. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next week.